Should be back.
Oh, we're back.
Hello.
It was like, and it's gone.
Yeah, it's just I can't. I was trying to basically make OBS scale it down instead of having to adjust my resolutions and everything because it really looks wonky on my screen. But that's
all right.
Oh. There we go. Now it's gonna do the encoding thing as it like re-toggles back in. Hopefully it doesn't move our stuff. Okay, there we go. That should work. It's only for Killing Floor 3 so far that I've had to do this. I'm sure there will be other games, but...
Yeah, like, I thought we ran into this with, like, Remnant, and, like, I know Deep Rock had a couple weird issues.
Well, it's because I got the new monitor that's, like, way better.
Oh,
and so
I see.
So I have to tell the monitor to run like the old monitor or it's too high resolution for streaming.
I see.
Yeah. I don't know if it's encoding error on the card, though, or how much it can send. Because if it's a sending error, I just rewired the house, and that's something that could be fixed in, like, a day or two. So...
Oh, yeah. Tweak just spent, like, all afternoon rewiring.
Yeah.
We should have much better servers soon.
Yeah. I ran Cat 8, like 10 gig network cables through the house. Like the ceilings and the wall. I was a goblin in the walls.
He was in the walls!
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
He was in the walls!
So that took a while. Yeah, Cat 8. Yeah, I was like, if I'm gonna upgrade from the Cat 5 cables, I might as well, like, to be fair, if you're looking to upgrade your network right now, don't get Cat 8 cables. Nothing can use Cat 8 cables right now, unless you're, like, running a server farm. Like, we won't be able to use Cat 8 cables right now, but in the future, I don't have to go in the walls and run those cables again. So that's why I did it.
You run a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
We have, like, multiple servers going for things.
The most people can use right now would be Cat 6, or Cat 6A is a little faster. Cat 7's kind of pointless, and then Cat 8 is the next. Like, nothing really uses Cat 8. But it could be used. I wanted to future-proof. Yeah, I don't want to go in the walls again.
Yeah.
That was a pain in the butt.
We think for the future here.
Excellent. Artistic's already in. I've been leveling up... Oh, you can't see because it's under zip, but I've been leveling up my medic. I'm level 24. I have a lot of different skills now. Like, I have symbiosis. I can pick people up when they're down by shooting them with healing. And my storm shelter's a little better. I haven't been able to upgrade a lot of stuff. Like, I need more proficiency points to be able to upgrade the things. But I've been trying to get there. I want to get to this one, where my grenades can pick people up, because I've been building into grenades, and I feel like that's probably the best one. I'm surprised this wasn't here. Like, I'm surprised it wasn't an option of darts or grenades, so it looks like you can get darts and grenades, which is kind of neat. Yeah, the proficiency points take a lot longer to grind, but that's alright.
I haven't been playing too much since the weekend because, like I said, we've been playing a bit of Abiotic Factor.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been a lot
The cave happened.
Yeah.
Yep. It's been fun. I have discovered Abiotic Factor fishing. Yeah. I never really did it before when it was fresh. And I've just been vibing in our home portal, which we made a home in the Tori dimension.
Yeah. Oh.
It's so pretty.
By the way, does everyone want to see the, like, coolest, like, ninja weapon I put together? Because this thing's been so good. So I took the kunai, because they're ranged and melee, and I made a Confusion Venom, like, maximum Confusion Venom, boss buffer kunai. So basically, if I throw them at Flesh Pounds and Skrakes, the Skrakes and Flesh Pounds will turn around and start killing all their own teammates. And if I throw them at bosses like the Impaler, they'll attack the other Impalers, and you can just get bosses to fight each other.
Amazing.
It's really good. Like, I highly recommend it. The only downside to them is you can't parry. Kunai are... They don't know if it's a bug or not, but the Kunai can't parry when you block. They can only block. So... But again, people aren't sure if that's a bug or if that's actually part of the weapon. Yeah. Because they're the only thing you can't parry with, melee weapon-wise.
I'm thinking of going, maybe ninja for the first bit.
Yeah. I do highly recommend trying that if you have kunais or you have any things to spend. Oh,
I've really, I've gone to kunais a couple times. I really like them. I tried to go for the katanas.
yeah.
I think I'm not as big on the bow, so for ranged, I definitely like the kunais. So I might have to invest more into those.
Yeah, even
especially like since you can do that.
Yeah, even if you can just make one with the tier 1 confusion venom, I would highly recommend it so you can like purchase it.
Yeah. Well, right now I've been investing everything into my katanas.
Yeah.
Just like going like full stun and everything.
It's actually funny you mentioned that, Philbo, because that's one of the things people have been asking about, is because damage types are so particular for bosses that maybe for the 5th wave, before the boss wave, they should hint at what boss you're going to fight so you can kind of prep for it. Like, for example, if it's going to be the Chimera, spawn a bunch of the Mire things, and if it's going to be the Crawler, spawn a bunch of Crawlers, or like something like that, just so it's like enough of a hint that you're like, oh, okay, it's probably going to be this boss, and then you can pick the right gear. Because, boy oh boy, Rye and I fought the Chimera as the Ninja and the Firebug, and guess what the Chimera is resistant to? Slashing, electrical, and fire. So, that was one hell of a fight. Like, we were on the normal difficulty, and it was... Like, we won, but only after we had both gone down once, and neither of us had any health or syringes left. Like, I was down, and Rai had no health in his bar. I think it was at 1 health when we won the fight. Like, that's how...
Wow.
Yeah. It was insane. Yeah. Like, you just felt like you weren't doing anything. But yeah, the lobby is open. If you guys want to hop in. I don't really... I guess we can check what the assignments are. What is the daily? Cut damage, electrical damage, pulse lure. I should try pulse lures. People said they're pretty good.
Oh, I had a skill point. I didn't even realize.
Let gray matter, sharpshooter damage. That could be fun. I need to do sonic damage and ninja damage.
Okay.
Oh, okay, I'll have to do that later.
What do I need to...
Sonic and ninja. Do y'all want to do...
I also have to deal damage using a ninja gadget. So it
do you
works out that I'm starting.
Normal or hard? Because if we're doing normal, I'll switch to engineer.
I mean, I'm fine with hards. If we go hards, I'll probably still... because my ninja's like almost level 10.
Yeah. Yeah, because my engineer's all the way down to level 6, so...
Yeah, look, we can start on normals if you like.
Yeah, let me get a little... Because I need to get sonic damage. I think engineer is the best way to get sonic damage, probably.
And I need to, deal damage using a firebug throwable. Oh, that'll be good today. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, what are weeklies?
Commando 16, yeah. Yeah, you definitely want to aim for, like, a 15 or above on hard if you can.
Yeah, my firebug is still at the highest. I think actually at like 16.
Do you...
So right at the appropriate level.
Okay, so the grenade launcher normally does sonic damage, okay. And this one normally does heat damage. Okay, so I need a regular grenade launcher. Is there a way to make like a grenade launcher build that's just good grenades? Not really. Huh. Yeah, okay, I guess I'll just grab a I guess I'll just grab a grenade launcher.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I also want to put my engineer up as well.
I didn't see any specific maps, so I could click any. We can just see where we end up.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you have, do you have like a quest somewhere artistic that you need to go?
No idea.
Hmm.
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
All right.
I mean,
Whatever you pick, it's fine.
Yeah, I was like, if we do any, we end up at the place anyway.
Do
That'll
I even
work.
have any? Oh, mine's travel to the offices. Okay.
Oh, okay. We could do offices.
Yeah.
Time's ticking, guys. Get to the VTOL.
Offices is weird. It has like a double fan right next to each other. Oh.
Oh.
Who just joined? Was that you,
Oh.
Philbo? It was
Get
a Philbo.
in! Get in the copter! Get in the copter! We're going! We're going to kill zombies!
We gotta kill them floors.
Catch you on the ground,
We gotta
guys.
kill them floors!
I'm still baffled by the fact that this game, like, when streaming, it's fine when not streaming, but when streaming, if I'm streaming at full resolution, it, like, has that encoding error, but if I stream at, like, 1080p, it runs fine. It's so weird.
Wow.
I'm not sure how, like, that, man, it must make that much of a difference. Oh man, I can buy better armor, I guess. Yeah, you know what? I might as well. No point keeping the operational budget.
Wait, does, one of the dailies is do damage of a ninja gadget. Is that, they serve it a shock trap.
Gadget is your, grapple hook.
Oh, that's the gadget. Yeah, you're right. I was just like, is it that or is it the tools? But, yeah. I know those are your specials.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I have one for, there's another one for Firebug.
Yeah, and I have
Hey,
one for
Shabata!
Sharpshooter. Hello. Oh man, I really bruised my arm.
I
Whatever
don't
I
even want
bumped
to
it
talk
on.
about how a shield dropped onto my foot today,
Yeah.
and it is still hurting. Luckily, it is not broken, but it hurts like hell.
Oof. Hope you
It's
feel
so
better.
bruised.
That sucks.
Yeah, no, like, I was going to grab the ladder for Tweak when he was working on stuff, and it was one of her cosplay shields.
Yeah. Yeah, I make a lot of, like, I have a 6-foot, sword that I used for my Pyramid Head cosplay as well.
That was really fun to
Ooh.
make.
Yeah.
Interesting. I like Pyramid Head.
Nothing is battle resistant.
It was the
Oh
the
god.
dark shield. A Darklink shield.
Okay, the
that-
fan is turned on in case you want to
Of
use
course it was.
it. Yeah.
Of course it was the Hylian shield. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was the corrupt version.
Yeah, I cosplayed Darklink the one time, and Soot did like human form Midna, and
Interesting.
it was pretty good. I made that kind of handmade mirror shield, and I had basically a dark version of the Master Sword. It was pretty good.
Yeah, no, I'm like, no one's gonna believe me when I'm at like family or something. How'd you hurt your toe?
Yeah, she stubbed it. It wasn't me, I swear.
Yeah, no, like, we just have like a bunch of cosplay stuff. We used to hit conventions pretty regularly.
That seems like destructive production.
It was actually pretty funny. Who was it?
Yeah, it'd be a weird one to explain to the ER. Yeah, luckily it's just
Yeah.
it's just bruised. I checked in everything to make sure.
Man, I can't believe how much work it was to just
You know,
do all those
a
cables.
fixed focal lens is an
Like
excellent
I feel
and
like my regular workout days were less work than that.
Huh.
I might tune down the graphics a little bit too. It's running a little slow. I'm probably getting about 45 frames instead of 60.
Mm,
Alright. Can I get a cheap grenade launcher? Oh, that one's doing biological damage. I don't want that. Eh, whatever.
Do we want to hold up here? I can put some explosives down, or we can do this hallway.
Yeah. Oh, why did I tab out? I don't need to tab out to fix that. Whoops, I tabbed out. Sorry, everybody. The leg.
Mark.
Okay.
Ah!
I meant to go to settings, not not tabbing. Video. We're going to set it to... Oh, wait. No, I do have it already turned down a bit. Let's turn... Maybe it's because of these. I find when you turn off the other kind of lighting, then foliage and shading also needs to... Oh, no, wait. I didn't turn off the other one. That's why things look a little weird. Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, when you turn down the other settings... Oh, okay. That looks a bit more like what I expected. Wow, okay. The grenade launcher flies way more vertical than I expect. I was like accounting for distance and like it dropped, but it wasn't dropping. No, that still feels a little weird. Maybe I should have left the lumens on. Huh. I'll try once more between waves.
Hey, Swiss! How's it going?
Halfway point, team. Making progress.
I should really try the Kunes as a melee. Oh, they're pretty cool.
Yeah, I like that.
Because I didn't even know they could be used melee.
Yeah, their melee and ranged is great. I want more ninja tools that do both. Oh, Donka.
Oh yeah, no, this really changes things.
Momento, reloading. Okay,
Punch it.
only one phone left.
Yeah. The beans on toast.
Enemy?
Wow, that
Take your
is
time.
that is a UK sounding thing to eat. Or I guess British.
The British.
A British.
Got an urge to split.
It's better than it sounds. I mean, I'll try anything once. So.
Yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna turn those lumens back on. That got weird. Star and lumen. Oh, and then lumen.
Head to the trader pod.
Reflection quality. Maybe that'll help. Reflection quality and shadow quality are always big. Ah, there we go. That feels good. Ooh, turret. That's something, whenever people, like, get into streaming, that's always something to get used to, is the fact that how you play during stream, in terms of, like, your settings and everything, will always be different than how you're playing normally.
Yeah, it is true. You always have to account for the fact that there's always some, like, sort of CPU load
Yeah.
that has to go dedicated to streaming.
If you need something, better buy it now.
And then on top of that, you've also got, like, if you VTube, there's another layer, too, with your models running.
Oh yeah,
Depending on the model
Eyes up,
too.
team.
Yeah.
You got PNG, which doesn't like, use much at all. Live 2D and 3D are very different.
Impressive.
Oh, is that wall breaking? Oh. I don't want to be near that. Where am I going? Come on, game. Show me where I'm going. There we go. Up the elevator. Okay. Whatever you say. Oh god, hi, Siren. She can't scream if her head's blown off.
True. So true.
trying to get better at the whole, like, hop and slide thing, but the way I have my keys set up, it's not the easiest to do.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah, it definitely takes some timing.
I almost need to put crouch on, like, a mouse button or something so I can sprint and crouch at the same time easier.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that.
Halfway through. Keep it up, squad.
Buzz me, thing.
I need to find one. Oh, there's one up here.
Hi, Siren. Oh, she decided to scream instead of going in the fan. Oh, there it goes. I love that the blood just comes out of the top. Our Canadian beanage, as it were, is very much both.
Oh my god.
Like generally, if there's something in Europe and something in the States, we have both sides of it. Like we got sweeter beans, like really sweet beans, and then we've got like basically like your red beans that are just like straight bean.
Someone turn down the volume.
And we've also got like very plain beans as well. But like we got sweet ones. We got like basically sugary maple syrup beans if you really want those.
Maple beans.
Yeah. Put them in chili all the time. It's so good because like you make a really hot chili and then like have a maple sweetness to it.
I see. Yeah, that does sound pretty good, actually.
Yeah. Gosh, I love maple. So Canadian. I go nuts for a maple donut.
Yeah, maple donut. Maple bacon donuts are also fantastic.
Oh yeah.
Yo, that's it. Let's go over to Timmy's and get a double there, eh? Get some Timbits and a double. Maybe a 2-4 and a couple Mickeys there, eh? I love that this is the exact same animation from Killing Floor 2 for the ones that are trapped in the cell. Like it's identical. I bet we'll play on Saturday and I'll see this exact animation playing on one of those heads in a cell.
Yeah, probably.
Well, those cameras aren't very good.
Oh, I can't smash the thumb open. See crates and junk lying around, and abiotic factor has just like ruined me.
Yeah. Oh man, that dude's half a dude. Oh no, never mind. I found his other half. They were half a dude.
Armor locker unlocked.
Pod is closed.
Wah.
Oh, I heard a floopadoop.
Gotta locate R&D res laboratory array.
Oh, that's where the portal thing is. Like that big
Yeah. Also, hello, Panda.
Oh, it should. You should have been near it, I thought.
No?
It's right here. I just pinged it.
Oh, maybe it's a bit higher. Oh, thank you. I was just trying
That's
to.
where the gray ping is.
Oh, maybe we're too high then. Oh no, never mind. It's right here. Do this wall here. Oh, that's artistic in the roof. I'm like, why is there blood coming through the ceiling?
Yeah, it's just artistic.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's fine.
So noisy.
Oh yeah. The impaler has no. They have no reason to be that hard. It's like a ridiculous scale. Like, Impaler just gets stupid once you play on hard.
Yeah.
Oh,
I haven't tried the Chimera yet, so they could be as bad, but I'm not sure. I've only fought the Queen, and we kept getting the Impaler and losing.
Yeah. I've
Siren dropped down.
Yeah, the Queen was like about the same on hard. They just hit a little more. The The Chimera is very similar to the Queen. Like, it just hits a bit harder. It's not really... But the Impaler is, like... I think it's because of the number. Like, they multiply it per 1. And because of that, it's, like, quadrupled or sextupled when you have 3 of them. Oh,
Yeah.
I got a Scrake on me.
Yeah.
And I only have Explosive.
I have Incendiary, that should help.
That doesn't count.
Oh, he's dead.
Scrake's dead. Good job.
Just have to reload.
Oh, that guy's alive. That must have been
Yeah,
unfortunate.
I think I'm gonna level up the kunais.
I kind of... Oh no, someone's dead out there. I
Oh no!
I kind of like getting the Queen, though, because it's a bit of a break from the insaneness. It's like, oh, nice, we're gonna have an easy boss fight, you know? I don't think I'm gonna make it. No.
Oh no. 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 All gross. How-
Single digit.
Apparently, Explosive is very effective against Husk.
I use confused kunais on a ninja. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
debating what I want to do. If I want to go with a venom.
Yeah, that's what I was saying, like, when we first started up. I'm like, Confused Kunais on Ninja? Peak.
Whatever I need.
So good.
Oh, wait a second. The ones I'm using right now are confusing.
Yeah, the Toxic Venom or whatever, the Confusing Venom. Excellent. I guess I will take this. So I have a shotgun as well. And then I gotta upgrade my armor for the next wave. Aluminium. Yeah, honestly, I love confusing them. Also, even when the confusion, because I don't know if anyone realizes this, because I usually only notice it on bosses, but the more you inflict a status effect on an enemy, the more they become resistant to it. So, like, if you freeze a Zed, it'll be harder to freeze them the second time, and then, like, almost impossible to freeze them a third time.
Cleanliness,
Or if you confuse them, like, it'll last a shorter duration the second time and almost nothing the third time. Same thing with bosses. But the thing with the Confusion Kunai is you confuse them so fast that even though all they do is the animation where they shake their head because the confusion's not working, you're basically just stun locking them into shaking their head constantly because you're still
wow.
triggering the effect, even though it's not doing
Oh yeah, I was too lost in the bloodshed to realize.
I think it's just because, like, the top tier confusion on the kunai is, like, it adds 100 confusion per
Oh, wow.
kunai that goes into them, so it's crazy.
Alright.
Kind of hard to resist that all at once.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
Ah, shit, grenade.
A shit grenade.
It's cryo, but there's a lot of people in there, a lot of Zeds. And I think I hear a flesh pound. It's hunting season.
Oh, flesh pound coming down this hallway. Wow, his legs are missing. How is he standing up? Okay, there.
He's really determined.
I blew off his legs, so it was just a skeleton, and he was still standing there. How does that happen?
That is wild.
I'm glad there's no friendly fire.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
not even.
Oh. Wait, where's the next trader anyway? Should we be heading for that?
We could be.
Oh, that's.
It's
Oh, it's down the
underneath
elevator.
us.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So we can just take the zip line down. Just drop it down.
Oh. Oh, that turret's on cooldown. Okay. Yeah, there's no activatables here, so.
So much murder. Holy crap.
Flesh pound.
Reloading.
Don't have all the fun, Tweak. Nice.
It's just like a regular grenade launcher too, because I need the sonic damage, so it's like I could have a cool grenade launcher, but instead I got the regular one.
Nothing wrong with the regular.
Regular.
Time to bring out the big.
Oh, I didn't know you had dubstep. Chabrata bought some dubstep. I remember when I used to call him Ciabatta.
The very first time I met him, I said that, and when I realized I was so embarrassed.
They're Ciabatta, boy.
I was
You
like,
like me some
oh,
ciabatta
I'm
bread."
so sorry.
Ciabatta.
I'm uncultured.
Or when we had
Eyes open, team. Stop that
shawarma
now.
and we were eating naan bread, and then we're like, oh my god, we're eating naan bread, and then we sent a picture to naan bread.
Which, speaking of, we had that again today. Sorry, Nan.
Still better than chai bada. Tea bada?
Oh, man.
You don't want to be tea? Oh, does anyone else need money? I got an extra 2,000.
Who needs money?
I
could actually use some
boss
dash.
wave. I could just use them to upgrade my armor, or level. Not upgrade, just fill it.
Sorry, Philbo, you said?
Actually, I'm good. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
I was
don't need
given money.
much.
I can now give money back.
Oh, goody. Thank you. Alright, I'm good.
I used the smoke launcher. Ooh, interesting.
Yeah, who needs money?
I've only tried the crop duster, which is like the biological launcher. I guess I could get that now. I don't.
Looks like
am I
you're
done
all
my
good.
assignment?
Yep.
Oh, I am done
thank
my
you.
assignment. Oh, okay. You want to send some back to me, and I can get my cool grenade?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
I'll
yeah,
give
yeah,
you
yeah.
what I have left.
Here. Just take my entire finances.
Yeah, there you go.
Yay! I got the crop duster. Yeah.
Excellent. Alright, I'm putting a mine on this door.
Ooh, explosive shotgun.
Yeah, actually, that sounds real good.
Pod is closed up.
Oh, it's Chimera.
Oh, it's you!
Alrighty.
Look
Show
at
me
that.
what you got.
It's so wiggly.
Just reminds me of a giant beetle.
It does suck
still,
that
I
you can't
get,
tell
like,
where they
Strong
spawn.
Zeech vibe still.
Because like in Kill Floor 2, you could tell where they spawn based on the cutscene, like if you knew the area.
Yeah.
Oh, hi,
Keeps
buddy.
guessing here.
Woo-hoo-hoo! Woo!
That's some good healing.
Purple stuff.
Have to reload.
Remember the map with Kill Floor 2 with Cthulhu, the mansion map? Oh yeah.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
We're gonna be playing Kill Floor 2 tomorrow too, by the way. Anyone that wants to hop in that, that'll be 32
Oh, no.
player.
My game, they have locked up.
Oh yeah, you're running into a wall.
Oh no! Everything crashed.
Oh hey.
That's not good.
Oh wait, I'm still on the call. Okay. I thought
That's
it
good,
was
at
gonna be a
least.
hard crash.
No, that might have... Oh, I think that might have happened to me when I slid, and then it just kicked me out of the game. I think like
Alright,
the
we're
same
trying
thing
to get back
happened
in.
last week.
Yeah, we're still fighting the boss.
Yeah, we're still at it. Still face artistics down.
Yeah, Killing Floor 2 tomorrow
two.
will be a nice time.
There's armor underneath if you need it.
Bring it.
Like full reload of armor underneath the bridge.
Yeah, I'm almost full on the armor. I should just healed up. 54 health. Oh, it's on top of me.
Okay, there's my last heal.
Moving.
It has my attention.
Will I make it? It's still late.
It's still at half health, so
Yeah.
Oh, I hate that attack.
Yeah, that's pretty brutal. I'm hurt bad.
Oh, not good. Not good.
Try getting too artistic.
Oh. Good, it was pulling us in, so you didn't have to worry about it. Using the zip line.
I have to come
Oh,
in.
it teleported up. Oh shit, that sucks.
Oh!
I teleported up to get the syringes, but it teleported up too.
Oh, will it give me? Will it remember what I was using? I think it can't join. Oh,
Oh, it won't let you?
yeah, but saying it's private.
Oh, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
See if that works.
Oh, okay. Can't join.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So maybe at boss
That's
fights it
unfortunate.
doesn't let you rejoin.
Let's see if there's level stuff then. We can load out for the kunais.
Kunai with chain.
Nightfall. We have a specialist in need of immediate medical intervention.
I got you.
It's okay, Suit. It means we're safe and important. Oh, thank you. That means a lot.
Yeah, I was hoping it would at least give you like experience.
Yeah,
I
I
guess
don't
you
know
probably
if I
got
got
your-
any craftings either.
You probably got your dailies at least though.
Yeah, I got
Tommy.
one of my dailies. I definitely got the ninja one. It completed during the wave. So that's good. I don't know if I get my experience. I have no idea, but
Yeah, it's hard to tell.
even if it's
Can't die if you're not there, that's true.
can't die if you're not there.
Oh, it's running.
I put it on the
It's
map.
running after artistic, I think. Oh no, it turned around. I can't keep up with it. It's teleporting around so much.
I'm taking that armor now.
Where did it go?
Up here.
Oh, it's up there. Okay.
It's after me.
The hell is going on?
It was just after me.
Is it? It's getting health back. What the heck? That was weird.
Oh,
I saw its health go up.
It's not supposed to do that.
Yeah.
oh shit.
Only we're supposed to heal. Still being aggroed. At least I was.
I still got lots of traps. I just, yeah, haven't seen it. I guess I'm trying to get down there. Oh,
Talk about a plot twist.
oh! How dare you suck me in? Good, it fell for the shock trap.
Oh, no, I was too late.
Yeah, no,
We lost
before
artistic.
when that happened, it let me rejoin, but I'm not sure if it was during a boss. Yes, it's hard to say if it was like
Oh,
This is far from ideal.
on their end or not.
We can't let you die.
There have been some bugs where people crashed, but mostly in the lobby. And I'm pretty sure it's not me, like this computer is.
why can't I use my
We
super?
built it.
It's impossible. My super doesn't work anymore. No. Okay.
Doesn't matter. We win.
Yeah, we got it. Oh my god.
Nice.
I'm not afraid of heights. Just
Yeah, my super wasn't working. It would pull out the thing and then it would put it away immediately instead.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, that was strange.
Were you like activating it at the time that you went down or something?
I was activating it when he grabbed me, and I wonder if that bugged it out.
Maybe.
Yay.
Yay. Not
Travel
bad.
with Team to
Back to
Stronghold.
Stronghold.
Ba-ba-ba.
Yeah.
Alright.
Yeah, no, I definitely didn't get my experience.
It could also be that bug that if you crash, we have to restart the whole lobby because, or that was happening before too, where you can't rejoin a server for some reason. Which is super weird. Like that's something they should definitely figure out how to fix.
Yeah, kind of cringe, low key.
Ooh, do I want? I probably want this one. I like the super on the engineer. More supply pass points. Woo. That's some interesting engineer armor. Huh.
Oh, recently you learned that Rain World has a co-op mode and you can play through the story modes with it as well. Yeah, eventually want to check that one out. God, so far on my radar, I have a couple games I want to stream soon. I really want to play Death's Door.
Yeah.
Really been itching to finally play that.
I wish it would stop telling me I have new skills when I don't. Does anyone else have that? Or is constantly like, you have new skills?
It's
like,
too.
I can't afford anything and I don't have any new skills.
Yeah, it's been doing that to me too.
Yep,
Right,
you're not
let
alone.
me see, can I join you? Let me see if it does it again.
Yeah, now that we're back in the lobby. Yep.
Apparently, yes. Apparently, I can. Okay.
Lovely.
That's good. Yeah. Ah, delicious.
Yeah, lots of games to just catch up on now that I am free from the fight.
So, I was talking about how I was rewiring the house. It took me like, I don't know, a couple hours, 2 to 3 hours to run the wires. Because there were wires there, so what I did is I tied them together, like the new wires to the old wires as I fed them through. So it kind of just like pulled the new wire through.
See.
But after I got that all hooked up, I'm like, huh, the speeds aren't any better, even though I've like hooked them up to like better cables and everything like that. Turns out that my actual desktop and the server, like their network cards can't handle a faster speed, so I had to order new network cards to actually use all the new infrastructure. Like, damn it.
Oh.
After all that, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, for all of that. Yeah,
At
if
least
stuff's
you
not
don't
supported.
have to do it all again.
Yeah, at least I don't have to do it. Yeah, fixing a computer card's way easier than running cable.
Well, at least
Did
they're all
I count
upgraded
my
to the future.
mission?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited though, because it means like our game servers that we've been running should run a lot better.
I may have to redo my mission.
Oh, yeah, because probably the last part was to survive, right? So,
Yep.
yeah, okay, that's fine. We'll
Bummer.
just go to offices again. Big whoop.
Yeah, we can do it.
Yeah, you know, that'll be really good for all the servers, because, like, even with, like, Pathfinder and stuff, that's all through Foundry.
I had to order a new plug for my Valve Index. Oh,
Oh, a VR headset.
nice. Yeah. I haven't heard of the Valve Index in a while. I know it's good. I just
yeah.
That was released, what, 2019?
yeah.
It's been a few years.
I need to play more VR stuff.
It was definitely like high end at the time, so it's probably mid range still.
Yeah.
We got me an awesome, creative VR game where you kind of, like,
See you at the
go
mission
around
site,
and,
guys.
like, you can actually, like, paint and stuff, like, really cool things from, like, Humble Bundle.
Yeah, you paint stuff in like
Wow.
3D in the VR
What was it
space.
called? It was really cool. It's, such art.
Yeah. Much wow. No.
Yeah, no, I'm itching to I really want to jump into that.
Oh, wait.
See what I can do.
I actually, because I'm high enough level, I can switch out for a Storm Guard. Yeah.
Ooh.
The Quest 3 is a massive improvement, however. What do we have? We have, like,
We have
2?
3.
Oh, we did get... Okay, we do have
Yeah.
3. I was like,
So, to be fair though, we were upgrading from Oculus Dev Kit to the Quest 3. So
I'm like,
it was an
I'm so
improvement
new
no
to
matter
VR.
what.
Yeah, I didn't really get as into Oculus. It used to make me nauseous. The Quest has been really good. It felt
How does it
really
smell in
good.
there?
And I really want to play around in more things. I've been, like, just catching up on what I've missed out on.
I must say it was really cool, though, having the dev kit, because, like, you couldn't normally get the dev kit, so, like, everyone coming over would be like, ooh, VR, it's so cool, and then they get nauseous after, like, an hour.
It's funny, too, because, like, I know friends who are crazy VR people. They're in VR chats and stuff all the time, and they're like, oh, it's so cute, she's exploring VR chats for the first time, because I'm so excited about everything. It's so cool!
Yeah, when it
But
works,
I'm like,
well.
oh, it really shows. It really shows I'm a VR noob.
Yeah.
I need to do more stuff in that too, because there's so many cool worlds. Like me and Tweak we found a zombie shooting world, which was really fun. And there's like kind of like a ball pit world where there's also like
cool.
you can turn off gravity and things and just like
Someone's critical
fly
upstairs.
around and go crazy. I need to explore a lot more with VR chats.
Damn, I can't get upstairs.
But I also
right now.
want friends to do that
Melissa?
with.
Yes, I can go
There's
this
so many
way.
neat things.
I thought I was gonna jump off the side of the building there. I don't know if anyone watching stream thought I was about to go over the edge there. I had to like double check. It was just a broken window. It looked like the edge of the building. I mean, they probably wouldn't let you jump out a broken, like, off-map edge.
Oh, I haven't tried.
Now, the acid. What happened to this guy? What the heck? Yeah,
He's been through some things. Yeah.
Time to fill up
I
your
took a
shopping
screenshot of
carts,
that.
folks.
Okay.
Yeah, you should. That's funny.
Okay. I need to save $5,555. Exactly.
This way, follow the ping. Help! In a right fix here.
Need a right fix here.
Help! Got a right holy mess here. Fuck! I'm in a right pickle. Who can provide firepower? I will lead, you follow.
Oh, does anyone have a multi-tool for the zipline?
Oh no.
I took
If we
I'm
do
just searching
supply-
bodies.
I'm gonna put the syringes up on that platform up there. Just so there are some syringes.
Yeah, good call.
The roof is pretty good. Like the double fan and the zip line that gives you that much of a gap from the Zeds is really nice.
Yeah, it really is. It's good maneuverability.
Help them like Rick.
And I'll drop my ammo bag here too. Oh, here they come.
I've been poisoned.
You're making good progress. They're quarter down. Good work, team.
No screaming. Screamer, no screaming.
Keep your trap shut.
It actually kind of is it's like a bear trap at this point.
Yeah. More machine than flesh at this rate. Future.
Didn't have enough reload mine. Ah, that's fair. So as it were, haha, poor. Haha, no dosh.
Oh, that's okay.
Gargoyle's hot.
Hello, Mystic.
Do you mind? I don't want to get intimate with assist.
Go. Down. Bad. There we go.
Alright, sometimes you just gotta smack a little sense into them.
I feel like when you cancel your abilities, there should be a bit more return. Because, like, for example, with Engineer, if you fire 2 shots out of, like, the 8 or so that you get, and then you cancel it, it still takes, like, you still only get, like, a 10% recovery on it. Like, it's a weird...
Yeah,
I
you still gotta wait that
absolutely am
time out,
enjoying
basically.
the carnage.
Yeah, but only 80% enjoying the carnage, apparently.
Yeah, what's the other 20%?
Yeah, what do we need to do to close the gap?
I don't know. Send in more Zeds to murder.
I need 1,000 dosh and I can get my end game weapon already. If anyone has a donation. I know, it's a lot of dosh, though. Oh my god! Someone sent me dosh.
Oh, nice.
You need more?
Congratulations.
No, I mean, I don't, but thank you. Okay.
Alright, I'm
Back to
gonna
my
upgrade
grace.
my armor to full,
What
and then
was
I
it?
can...
Was it artistic or was it Chabad that gave you all that money?
Why not? Today,
I gave you like
money's no
260
object.
something.
Oh my god. I don't
Alright,
have
where are we holding up?
don't have a lot. You are on the premium healthcare plan now. You bought the
Premium health
the
care.
premium
Wow.
healthcare, yeah.
It's premium, though.
You get the Hawk Tua.
No.
Oh my god.
Never mind, put it back.
Put it back in the box. Send it back.
But it's the premium healthcare.
You had me until Huck to
But the Mystic, you can name your weapons. You can
Yeah.
fully customize them and stuff, which is awesome.
Yeah, I called it the Hawk Tua because it spit on that thing. Oh.
That's kind of funny, I'm not gonna lie, but I also hate it.
I hate it.
It's an original name, at least, and
Yeah.
unlike mine where I just called mine Blood Clot.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah,
I still
'Cause it's
love
red
my
and white.
I cast Fireball.
that's funny too. It's a classic line.
The only downside to the way I've customized this gun is its accuracy is garbage, but its damage is very high.
Hey, we love high damage.
Okay, now which color am I looking for?
25%
Bilbo is
enemy
gray,
forces
artistic is
neutralized.
green. Oh, I saw a Reddit thread that was hilarious, just of like, healing darts, please. And then it was just, they fired the healing dart at someone in front of them who needed healing. The dart turned 180, flew across the map, and hit their friend on the other side.
What?
Yeah. It was
Impossible.
insane. Like, it just turned around and flew somewhere else. It's like, what the heck is this? Like, this tracking on the darts.
God, you can attack so fast with these. Man, does this become a kunai main?
So the upside of the Hawk Tua, though, is if you're down and I start shooting the spit, you can be picked up by the healing darts. So we don't
Yeah, I
even
do
have
like
to go
that.
pick you up. Although that does mean you have to accept when you're down that you get the spit on that thing.
Yeah, okay.
There is a,
It's better than dying.
There's a trade-off.
Better than death.
The downside of the Hawk Tua is the name you get. What? No, this was clearly the intended name of this gun. Just like the crop duster and the elephant morphine.
Elephant morphine. Classic. I swear, they're sending so many sirens, I thought it was the tinnitus waves.
I also
No, yeah, it was just a regular wave.
I also called the Ghostbuster gun the beam crosser. you gotta cross
Ghostbusters
them
gun.
beams. Yeah.
Cross the beams. Yep, right.
I think that's the hardest thing with coming up with weapons is the naming convention that you use when you come up with a cool weapon.
Yeah. Because, like, there's also all the modifications, the bullet ammunition that you've also customized into that loadout too, so it's all
Yeah.
kind of, all ties it in like a button, you know?
More money.
Great, great, great.
Who do I
Wait.
see for a refund?
Hold on, does this gun have a keypad on the side of it? Oh, do the reload animation again. It does! What the heck? It's a sideways keypad.
Yeah, I mean, I do see 9 keys on there on the side of it.
It looks like there's arrow keys, but then there's a sideways 1 and a sideways 3. So it's like, I don't know what the design was there.
Maybe they're like presets? I don't
Yeah.
know.
Mo money, mo problem. Oh, I did make the Dashin gun. I forgot. I made the commando. I covered the gun in gold, hung Dosh from it, and put a Dosh logo on it.
Amazing.
Yeah. Ooh, a water cooler. We can just hang around here and talk about the zombie apocalypse.
Yeah, let's talk about Zeds and the current weather.
Yeah. Man, that Horazine, eh? What's with this what's with this hospital food, am I right?
Yeah, right? What's the deal with this Horzine food?
Also-
Apparently they have a customize your own trail mix bar.
This coffee mug is floating here. I feel like it's possessed.
What wonders will they invent next at Horzine Labs?
I mean, honestly, if they invent the floating coffee mug, I might be on their side.
True, so true.
Yeah, that
Never
won't
spill
be
your mug
good.
again?
Yeah. They invented horrors beyond human imagination. Yeah, but they fixed my
Carlina!
coffee problem.
Happy birthday
Happy
to the
birth-
goo! I hope you've been having a lovely day.
Wow, a birthday.
Happy
It's a
orbit around a
birthday.
flaming ball of gas in a vacuum day.
Yes, we must appreciate it. Happy births.
Yeah. Man.
Looking clean.
Oh, hey, Scrake. Let's see if this takes you down.
Where's that spring? Let me at him.
Okay.
Thank you for pinging it.
It didn't quite work. Oh, he took quite a bit of damage. Seemed to be almost dead.
We're going to the zoo. I'm also sorry you have to work.
Yeah, working on it. Well,
But the zoo sounds nice.
it depends what your work does for your birthday. Because sometimes working on your birthday is not the worst. It does still suck compared to not working on your birthday, but... Oh, working till midnight. Ooh. Okay, that's pretty bad. Oh god, the boss fight bar! Oh!
Dear. Oh dear. It's only wave 4. What's happening?
Oh, damn.
The meme came up, it was a Dark Souls boss.
Oh no. I'm unprepared. I've never played a Souls-like.
Oh, heck. Oh, if you prefer gunplay and do want to try Souls-like, I highly recommend the Remnant games.
The Remnant games got me into Souls-likes.
Like Remnant from the
Yeah,
Ashes
But
and
also
Remnant
because
2,
it's fully co-op.
phenomenal.
Yeah, I've seen there's 2 of them. There's another streamer that I watch who also had played that quite extensively, and I was like captivated the entire time.
They're so good.
We streamed all the way through both.
The best thing about it is
Wow.
it's story heavy, but you have to play through the story multiple times because the story randomizes every time you play through it.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
it's really
like-
cool.
One of the big appeals is how everything just changes.
Like right now in Remnant 2, you can get 3 different entire storylines of all 3 different worlds, and each of them can have different sub-stories randomized in, and it's all just,
That ought to do it.
like, it's
Oh,
crazy.
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. Very meticulously crafted, it seems.
Yeah.
That kind of reminds me a little bit of Returnal, and just kind of how that's structured too. Another title that I want to play.
Yeah. Oh, also, I guess I should mention that Remnant was built for 3-player co-op, so it was one of the few Souls-like games that you were actually, like, intended to play with friends.
Money,
Okay.
money, by the way?
Money?
Money.
Do
Who
you
needs
need
money?
money? Money?
I need to hawk Tua.
I'm okay. I can live.
Okay, people need money. I pretty much have everything now.
Well, thank you, Zoot. I'll consider that in future waves.
Yeah.
How much morphine
Yeah,
do I have
since
to
a
put
plain
into
ninja.
Chivata before they OD?
Not that much.
Like, every single one of these is an elephant morphine dart. Directly to the back of the head.
It just makes me worry that, like, one day it's going to be administered and then they're going to go into cardiac arrest and die.
Oh my
It was just overwhelmed their body.
Oh man, when they add the modding framework to this, I should make the elephant. I should make a mod that just makes it that like it really warbles your screen when you get the darts, and if you get too many at once, you just pass out.
That'd be hilarious, yeah, but also terrible.
Oh yeah,
like
it's
terrifying.
Such a bad mod, but also very funny.
All of it.
I mean, but hey, I'm here for it.
Yeah.
Definitely sort of jotty for the funny purposes.
I need to do more mods like that in general. Like even in Deep Rock, more just funny mods. Oh, that's a flesh pack. Let's do the fight dome.
That's a flushing.
Oh, it already died. A fight
Yeah,
dome
sorry.
seems kind of pointless.
I pulled out my Hellion. Oh, you know, it sounds like there's another one coming, so...
Wow, the fight dome lasts a long time now. Oh, there it goes.
No. Get over here.
Don't worry. I'm a spit on that thing. Okay, I'm gonna stop, man. It's gone too far.
That thing has indeed been spat on.
Oh. Well, there you go. 89% likely to sing a happy birthday.
No.
Also, I'm pretty sure the happy birthday song's copyrighted or some weird shizness like that.
I'm not a singing kobold.
Yeah, it's like, wait a second. Because I know restaurants can't sing it because it's like, they have to sing like variations of it because it's copyrighted or something. I wonder if that would actually get flagged on Twitch. It is undercover, right?
Is it so it's actually, oh my gosh.
Yeah, you can't sing happy birthday unless you pay to sing happy birthday.
Aw.
That's wild,
Yeah.
That's why they're always like, happy birthday you, happy birthday, happy birthday to you. You know, that
Amazing.
kind of stuff. Actually, that was pretty good. Happy birthday.
Guess you're more outright to sing it.
Actually, happy birthday you, happy birthday goo. That would work. There you go. I figured it out. I figured out how to get it to work. Who needs money? I got like 800
Yay.
left.
I only have 82, but I got enough ammo to chew through.
At most, the only thing I could buy is my bow, which still is not very good.
Here, I can give monies. Here you go.
The court ruling in 2016 declared it. Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, so it is public now. Interesting. I bet it was probably
Well, that's
because
good.
it was used by the public for so long. Because I know that's the thing. Like, if you don't copyright something,
Yeah, if you
for a
don't
long enough
protect
time,
your copyright, exactly. If you don't protect it,
Does,
then you can have that in contention, and people can basically. There's also like a certain amount of time, and then it can, you know, eventually
Yeah.
go into public domain.
Anyone
But
else
that takes a long time.
Need dosh? Anyone else poor?
Oh,
I could use it for a bow, but that's about it.
Oh.
Oh man,
No,
I've
no,
seen
that's
enough.
not what I
I've
wanted.
seen enough Eldritch hentai to know where this is going.
Ditto.
It's like- oh my
See you
god!
again!
Did we just call that?
Don't
Yeah, I
crash my
think we did.
game!
I think you did.
Shit.
That's unfortunate. Oh, you know
It's okay.
why? It's because we're on such story mission, and I think it's always Chimera during that story mission.
Oh. Okay.
Oh yeah, that's true. Because this is like the final mission, I think.
Yeah.
Story-wise.
Yeah, for now.
Oh,
Hell, you know.
oh boy.
I'm trying to get over there. Here I come.
Oh
Here
my
we
God.
Wow, that thing is going. It's nice when I don't have to aim.
What's all this about?
Have to assume so.
Phase 2.
Looks like both glowing critical zones
I'm
on the rooms are destroyed, so that's good.
Okay. Oh, it's pulling me in.
Oh!
Did it get all of us? Oh, that sucks. It didn't pull me in that far because someone else triggered it. Awesome. Oh, get out of the dome. Ooh. Alright, they're all over time darts, that's why it's you can still one hit. That's the one downside of this gun, it doesn't get the instant heal darts. Oh, I'm being sucked!
Yeah, me too.
I see Tribata just coming in with the laser, it's like, let him go!
Back to base.
Oh, someone else is down over there. They're not down, but critical.
Yeah. That.
Man, the counter is decently hard on normal, but it feels about this difficulty on hard too, so like maybe they just don't change much.
And then there's the Impaler.
Yeah, the Impaler's a huge difference on normal and hard.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Yay, it didn't crash.
Yay!
That's good.
You finished the story.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, 25 minute. Nice. Wow. Now it's like 8,000 experience per level. Ooh.
Damn.
It goes so slow at the higher level. It's just like Killing Floor 2. And not, well, Killing Floor 1 was probably the worst offender. It took forever to get to level 25 in Killing Floor 1.
Yeah, I don't even think I ever got to 25 in any level.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
Impaler on hard solo wasn't bad. Like, that definitely seems to be the trick, is to separate them.
Yeah, I didn't get as into Killing Floor 1 as I did 2. But I also got in late to Killing Floor 1. But yeah, it just felt super slow in comparison.
Yeah, definitely shows its age now, but, you know, I definitely got that when it was, like, first dropped, and, yeah, had buddies who played it, and, you know, that kind of got me into gaming as a whole, so.
That's awesome.
It's actually funny. I had forgotten some of the stuff about Killing Floor 1, because people were talking about how the Killing Floor 3 to Killing Floor 2 situation has been a lot like how the Killing Floor 1 to Killing Floor 2 situation was. But I find
It's playing out exactly the same.
I find that to be a hard comparison, though, in general, though, just because Killing Floor 2 just feels like an upgraded Killing Floor 1, while Killing Floor 3 feels a lot different than Killing Floor 2. Because, like, if you play Killing Floor 1 and Killing Floor 2 next to each other, they're decently similar. Killing Floor 2 is just, like, the first game with extra classes, extra enemies, and you can sprint. Which I forgot you couldn't sprint in Killing Floor 1, which is, like, I'm like,
oh,
wait.
Yeah, it's awful. There's, like, no movement at all in that game. You just you hunker down and you shoot.
Yeah.
So that's why the welding was very, like, big, too. So
Fun,
I was
though.
kind of surprised when they got rid of it. But, you know, they made some nice substitutes in place. The explosives that you set, the traps that seal the doors, those are a nice thing to have.
Yeah.
I'd agree. It's definitely not like similar to Killing Floor 2 and Killing Floor 1. It's not a bad thing per se, but it's definitely different, and it's got some time to cook. So I'm just gonna wait and see.
I feel like if they wanted to do, like, bring back the rechargeable syringe, if they wanted to do that, they could probably make it a tool. And in that way, it would be slightly better than the syringe bag, but it's kind of on par with, like, the other things. Like, the multi-tool is so strong right now, and the shock traps are so strong right now, that I feel like having another good option wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. The thing that I've been doing, though, is just, like, because I always find that I have a little bit of spare dosh throughout the wave from just shooting Zeds and killing them. Like, you can just go to any of those trader stations and just press and hold E, and it will give you a small little resupply buff. And sometimes that includes syringes.
Oh, you are correcto.
But, yeah, sometimes, you know, you can't get to a trader station, so maybe having, like, a tool that you can buy in preparation for that. But, like, there's also the bag, so I don't know.
The syringe bags are pretty much a necessary thing, though.
Necessary? Yeah. Just because you go through a lot of health sometimes, especially on the harder waves. The difficulty is a bit tougher.
Yeah, no, so there isn't a way to actually do instant heal darts on this gun. That's a little unfortunate. Huh.
Instant heal darts are so valuable, though.
Yeah. It just doesn't have it as an option.
They get that one perk, the engineer, where, like, you do a certain amount of kills with it and it refreshes your multi-tool. That's nice. Something like that for the syringe would be ideal.
It's almost a full purple gun, which is kind of nice. Like, I've only got a couple more things to upgrade on it, and it'll be full purple.
Yeah, that's pretty much full epic.
Yeah.
As far as my dual weapons go, my dual swords go, I have my stunning coating up to purple, but everything else is blue.
Oh, you can get free tools throughout the wave with. Oh, is that the retool? Yeah.
Yeah, where you kill a certain amount of Zeds, and then it refreshes your multi-tool, at least gives you one extra, so... I would agree with that, like, at least do that for, like, the perks, have them, like, have a thing where they can have that, or at least make it be, you know, scaled with the certain amount of Zeds killed versus how many you get.
Everyone ready for hard difficulty?
Let's do this.
Yeah, we can try it.
I do the same for medic, but base it on healing. Yeah.
Do you want me to switch to my higher level class then, or do you...
It's up to you. You can try.
I'll give it a go. I do want to also level other stuff, but...
Man, that is the earliest call Impaler right now.
Earliest call I've seen yet.
Oh, yeah, you probably just watched.
For this?
I mean, we haven't really, like, on stream when we've played hard, we haven't gotten really anything but that one crawler, and then all the rest of Impalers.
Yeah, Queen Crawler is usually the one that spawns with me, too.
I'd be happy with the Queen Crawler on hard, though. They're, like, a lot more manageable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, honestly, I wouldn't mind any for the achievement, because I still haven't done it yet for any of the bosses.
Ooh. Yeah, oh, also I found out, because I played a bit with Davey Boy, another streamer. They do Hell on Earth, like, Davey. Constantly. We beat one of the Hell on Earth bosses. I think it was a crawler, and it doesn't count for the hard difficulty, so you still have to beat it on hard, even if you beat it on Hell on Earth.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So, like, it just only clears the achievement for that difficulty that you did it on, not the preceding ones as well.
Yeah, it's just like Killing
Floor 2. That's good to know, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good to know, yeah.
All right, everyone.
Oh,
while we're here, let's do our best not to commit any U.S. military property offenses.
Torch is on.
You just said don't commit any property offenses as you shoot down all the...
Well, we're just reclaiming
it's fine.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's different.
I'm gonna start opening up the map.
Out of sight.
Don't cause any property damage. Immediately causes all the property damage.
Yeah, too late for that.
And Can y'all stop sprinting at me? Thanks.
Pretty sure the Zeds have caused enough property damage. So how would they know it was us?
Thank you for healing.
Wait. Did I? What? How did that happen?
What?
Or did someone else see it?
I think someone else healed me.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Because I did fire a dart and I didn't know where it went, so it could have been me. I just...
I'm not sure. You're the only medic on the team right now.
Oh my gosh, everyone's so low.
Really. Thanks again.
Yeah, that one I was actually in A. So,
Yeah, I saw.
you know, I fired one at Suit and it like bandaged, so maybe it didn't like do a 180 or something.
Maybe. The other
have to
thing
do
that's
that.
a lot... After you. The thing that I noticed too about killing Rogue that's different across now to 3 is just ADS. I've been doing that a lot more down sight viewing.
Oh,
Whereas
yeah.
killing 4-1, I could just shoot from the hip more frequently. It wasn't
Yeah.
a problem. But you know, that all comes with the modification, yada yada.
Comes with the murder.
Exactly, with the murder. Murder precedes modification.
Pleasure doing business with you.
Oh, there's a speaker. Let's get rid of that. Oh, there's a speaker. Let's get rid of that. Oh, there's a speaker. Let's get rid of that.
I like it. I love the initiative.
Oh, there's a filbo. Let's get rid of that.
Yo, what?
Wait, it's like, wait.
Wow!
You can't convert me into spare mats.
Well, there's a mat that's just like biomats.
Biosteel, yeah. Well, you know, Foster is a clone, so...
You're the only one it reasonably makes sense for.
I mean, Fallout 76 has that Wendigo rug.
Oh no. Or, I feel like turning Foster into a rug is pretty messed up.
I'm getting the mental picture in my head now, yeah. But it's not the weirdest thing that I could imagine.
Alright,
Alright, are we just running around like a bunch of fools, or...
Yeah, chickens with their head cut off.
Yeah.
Oh, this fan's been activated. Nice. I might hang out here.
No clue if you guys have gotten to play Grounded 2 yet, but the cockroaches, whenever you actually kill them, they have a second phase, and it is them running around with their head cut off.
Oh, that's funny.
Probably won't be getting around to that for a while. We're getting back into Abiotic Factor to experience 1.0.
Fair enough.
And I probably want to go back and actually
never
beat
finished
Grounded
Grounded
before
1, yeah.
I even consider Grounded 2.
Although Grounded 2 definitely looks like the game I was hoping Grounded was, you know?
Oh, nice.
Oh god.
It has a crashing
Every
issue.
time you collect
Oh,
coins,
no.
I'm practically cheering from the sidelines. If you find any
Graphics just
shiny
too
ones,
pretty.
think of me. I might just teleport for some
Not as
virtual snack
crashes.
time.
It's got a lot of bugs.
Ah, ha, ha. Will it blend?
Wait, you meant
Let's
that
find out.
There's a lot of sirens.
Yeah, I noticed that too. It's not a special wave.
Did we get a
Just spawn-
tinnitus? It feels like a tinnitus.
Oh yeah, that is the wave name. You're right. It's called tinnitus.
Yeah.
I do like for like most of the special waves, it's like, oh, there's a lot of scrapes. Oh, there's a lot of whatever. But for flesh pounds, it's like, oops, too many flesh pounds.
Yeah, oops, all flesh.
Yeah.
pounds.
Oh, hold on, I'm covered artistic. I was just body blocked. Oh man, that pickup was amazing. I didn't even come near you. Okay, note to self, the pickup darts, super OP. Just aim their general direction and they're up in like 2 darts.
It's gonna come in real handy for bosses.
Yeah. Now I just have to not get myself killed and it will be great.
Yeah, here, let me help you with that scrake issue.
Let me offer you the Scrake solution.
I like it. Here. take care of that Saturday in the meantime.
The stomach turns.
Okay, not bad, not
A
bad.
thorough cleanse.
Ooh, not quite enough.
Although I didn't really get to tussle with that flesh pound, I'm sad. Maybe we do get.
Let me
oops, all
refill my
flesh
armor,
pounds.
then I'll give you the rest of my dosh.
Oh yeah, I can use a pickup. There we go.
I love the new base locations in Abiotic. Oh yeah, we just moved into one of the new portal worlds.
Yeah.
It is so nice. It's so nice.
If it was our first time experiencing the game, I would agree. But also having a safe place to make a really cool base after you have played like most of the game is really cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, that is really nice to have. It's handy.
I
Well, thank
played
you.
enough of it that
Oh.
it is quite nice. And plus, I
300
still have to
dosh
go out. I'm just saying,
Don't
I
have
get jump
300.
scared. I get jump scared more going out of my base when the Lyak is hunting me,
And I give you all my dosh.
because I
No, that's
forget
fair.
about it. And plus, I still
It
have
was super
to,
close.
unfortunately, grind what I need.
I'll assume no one has any.
I have to get like the
Yeah, everyone's
Lyak
down or nothing. Okay.
orbs or whatever.
I will go one more wave with this.
But no, I've been getting jump scares leaving my base, and the Lyak is just waiting for me.
That's not good.
But I do enjoy that, like,
So-
things can't raid you, and of course, like, if someone
Yeah.
doesn't like that, you can always just build a normal base, too.
I saw someone send me a bit more, and it was like $1 off, so I still couldn't get it. So I just refilled.
But, you know, just the build and vibe, I absolutely enjoy that.
Yeah, Abiotic Factor does look like it has awesome building elements to it. I haven't played much of it. I need
Oh,
to
yeah,
get
the
back into
Lyak
it and
is
play super
terrifying.
seriously.
Like every time you exit the safety of your homeworld, you forget that the Lyak is there, and he's always
I-
there.
Yeah, no, I have freaked out.
And apparently you
someone's
can do
critical
fishing
way
in
over
that
there.
world.
Yeah, there's fishing and everything. Like it's got basically everything in that world.
Yeah, I've been trying the fishing. Really enjoying it.
It actually has an exclusive fish in it too.
Dang, really?
I'll bet it over to you.
Yeah, you can get like a koi version of the anti-fish.
Yeah, no, it will wait for you. You may forget it, but it doesn't forget you.
Oh, I can't shoot over that wall? Really? Damn.
But yeah, no, it is nice, because I went through it a few times early access, then took a break because I didn't want to overdo it, when 1.0 was basically, like, launching anytime. Come back to it, it feels so fresh again. Lots of cool stuff. There's apparently room for, like, 16 more portals you can build in, which would be great for servers.
Yeah, they're planning to make them like DLCs, so as long as... But the thing is, like, as long as the, So, for example, I usually host servers. As long as I have the DLCs, everyone has access to all the portal worlds,
Yeah.
which is really cool.
So I feel like,
Oh, that is really
let more
nice.
portal
Yeah.
worlds, come
love
to
it
the
when games do
game.
that.
It'd be great to host a server.
Oh, stop grabbing me. Get out of here. Them damn grabby boys.
They love to grab, don't they? Okay, that was too high.
I don't like this area just because they come from every single side. Not
Yeah, no, we can find a different place. Just trying to give as much cover as I can.
yeah. Just reloading everything.
Okay, we have.
Oh, someone's
flesh
critical over
pound
there. I'm
here.
coming.
I have a flush pound on me.
Yeah.
I'm drawing this aggro. We're executing.
Oh, okay. Awesome. And you're healing while you execute.
Nice. I love that for me.
Resounding success.
Ooh, Hellfire. I
Mutation.
don't know if I've seen a Husk one. That's interesting.
Oh.
That definitely seems like it's gonna be a bit of a pain.
Can't go wrong with
A
this.
pain in the
Uh,
tuchus.
Efficiency. Thy name is.
Okay, who needs
Alright.
thing?
Who needs dosh? I got 1,700 to give.
Wait, who did?
Great armor.
Oh yeah, you gave me. Wait, so you don't need the dosh back yet?
No.
Oh, okay.
My sword can carry me up to wave 5, so I'm good.
Oh, okay.
And this is just the sword I start with, so...
Yeah, so I guess if anyone needs 400, I can pass it on to.
I think I'm okay.
I'm good.
Question is, where do we hole up for this?
I don't know if they'll make a proper modding API, but there are modders already modding abiotic factors, so it should be interesting.
Which about I'm gonna follow you.
That should be interesting.
Just a...
I don't know how the multiplayer and abiotic factor works entirely. So...
Oh, there we go.
You're welcome.
Man, I would love that. The problem people are having with modding abiotic factor right now, though, is it's the first game, at least that I've heard of, for Unreal Engine, that was built 100% using blueprints. Like, there's no C# code or C++ code in it. And that's making it a lot harder for people to, like, decode for modding. So, which is funny, because I learned everything in Unreal Engine in blueprints, so if I make something, it's probably going to be mostly blueprints as well. So I've been kind of looking at it and being like, I wonder if I can figure this out. Yeah.
I really... The one coding class I took was in C#, but... I still suck at coding.
I can do some C# coding. Like, I made that crowd control for Risk of Rain 2, and that was in C#. But, like, if I have the option, blueprints is definitely a lot better. I just don't wish sad script on anybody. If you ever have to learn sad script, just say no and walk away. It's not worth it. It's like pseudocode and JavaScript had a horrible like amalgamation baby, and it shouldn't exist. Oh, someone else is critical down there. Okay. Going the other way. Good luck, everybody else. Ooh, I need to get some kills. I'm out of healing darts. It's interesting that this gun reloads on healing darts by killing things. Oh, the reload animation didn't finish when I got hit, so it interrupted it. That sucks.
Yep.
Oh god, I can't. I gotta back up.
I think like 3 ran into me. Oh my god.
Oh man, I had like 1 health left and no healing darts.
Sorry, mate. I tried to get you up. Too much enemy. Yeah, kept getting knocked off.
Okay.
I'm glad I was able to pick you up though with the healing field there. I was like, oh god, there's so many enemies in this corridor. I can't wait till that's an instant pickup. That's like the final perk you get is the healing field instantly picks people up.
That's gonna be very nice whenever you get that.
Yeah. Figure. Visual coder.
I don't think there's much else to hack around the map, so I'm gonna swatch over to syringe bag.
There's a syringe bag. Who needs money? I got an extra 400.
I've got 600.
I should be okay.
I need to be dropping more syringe bags.
I can start funneling money soon.
I'm gonna drop them on that platform. I'll drop one over here. Drop one over here.
Chuck some down as well.
Here, we'll plop an ammo bag here, town.
Yeah. The murder platform. Wait, is this a special wave? Why is the icon green?
Who could use a syringe?
It's green? It's red for me.
Huh.
It's yellow on my ends.
Oh.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Discrepancy.
Well, because I think usually it's red and then it turns green when it's a special wave, or at least I thought that's...
Yeah, I thought so too.
Okay.
Had a special wave, so
Closed.
I don't know.
Oh, now it's red. Okay. Weird.
Well, I guess it just didn't update for you.
Yeah.
It might just be some to say with the time you have left.
I mean, we did
I
just
don't know,
have a
for
special
those
wave
who have a
too, yeah.
minimalist HUD or something.
I definitely hear a flesh wound, so
I do definitely like the new coloration though. Like the original beta was like your HUD was like all white and blue, and it just
Yeah.
felt weird.
Didn't feel really killing floor.
Yeah.
Oh, hello, Scrake.
Oh, flush mount.
What flesh pound?
Yeah. Okay.
that flesh pound was deleted.
Efficient.
I feel like with how well you can specialize against Scrakes and Flesh Pound, Husks seem to be the most dangerous enemy in the Killing Floor 3.
They can really chew away your ammo.
Hello.
I mean, they're actually a bit sturdier too, so I guess your ammo as well.
Yeah.
Is it actually possible to remove a Scrake's chainsaw? Because it has a weak point there.
I don't think you can remove it, but I think just exposing the weak point does a lot more damage.
I don't know, it's sort of hard to remove limbs as the ninja class, surprisingly. At least on Scrakes and flesh pounds, anyways.
Welcome to the Murder Dome! Oh, there's another Flesh Pound in here. Man, we're basically immortal in the Murder Dome. It's great.
It really is.
God. My game is just... I think it just crashed again.
Oh, heck.
Oh. We got a Scrake coming up.
Oh, yeah, you're running in place again.
Yep, it crashed. Fuck.
Ammo wave fighters. That sucks.
Yeah. It hasn't done that before, and now it's doing it.
Mine about to go down.
Oh yeah, the only difference I can think of is that you're playing the ninja, but... Grenades!
And I'll turn settings down for stream.
Okay, good idea.
Oh. Just healing Dartham from orbit. That's the solution. Back up, all of you. This is no time for breaks. Oh god. Okay, I'm officially on a
The
healing
ninja
Dark
is
Scroll
not
pickup.
bad at reviving people.
So it's very hard to pick people up when everyone's injured because the darts start just randomly picking random people to go to instead of the person that's down.
How are we all doing then? Keeping our peckers
Really,
up?
that sucks.
Still reviving them whenever you were trying to shoot darts, so they hit me.
Yeah. Yeah, if someone's like on them reviving them already, that doesn't really matter.
Easy.
I feel it'll be better with the grenades.
Anyone
Goblin
got
Floor
200
3.
dosh I can borrow?
Let me know if you can
What's that?
rejoin it, otherwise
Restart?
I'll invite
Yeah, I'll see.
There you go.
Thank you.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it's gonna let me.
And
Oh.
so you
This is
crash during a
bullshit.
game, you just can't rejoin the game. That's kind of
Yeah.
I mean, do we just want to abandon this one?
It's literally the boss wave though.
Yeah, so we can just play it
Yeah.
out.
Mhm.
I just feel
It-
feel bad for Soup missing out on XP.
Yeah.
Anyone mind putting down a ammo bag real quick?
Yeah, I could do that. Where?
Anywhere. I'm just gonna restock from it real quick.
All right, it's right here.
Come see what I found.
Oh, it won't let me buy any more syringe bags. The game's like, no.
I mean,
stop
I
it.
haven't had any of this happen up
I'll throw
until
down
today.
some. I'll throw down some syringe bags as well.
And I was playing basically all weekend.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's a bummer. I'm sorry, Soup.
It's okay.
They have had like 3 updates since the last time we played too. Or 3 patches.
Chimera
I should
again.
say updates.
Customization stuff.
Very small patches.
Yeah. Yeah, who knows?
Chimera again.
Also, another Chimera.
Yeah.
This time on hard.
I don't know if they've tried
We do.
hard Chimera.
And hopefully that's better, but if it still doesn't, I'm just gonna assume it's the game.
Oh. Okay.
Okay, down there. Apparently, artistics down.
Stunned.
Yeah.
I did not get healed, but okay, game.
Apparently armor means like nothing against this guy for the hits. I'm just gonna keep darting from up here as long as I have darts.
Yeah, I'm gonna put my heli in now. Try to get some stuff done.
Ow.
Teammate down. Assist.
Okay, hang on. I got you.
Appreciate it.
Oh god. Ooh, that hurt.
Combat here.
Up behind. Oh, it was nice of the Chimera to wait on us to
Yeah.
heal.
Well, I think it was getting damaged by the zone too. Sometimes they get weird animations with it. Oh god, that hurts like a motherfucker. Ow. Oh man, I just got executed.
That's our medic who just died.
Oh man, that's not
That's not
looking
good at
great
all.
for
Man,
a
I
lot
had-
of you.
I had 60
And I'm
purple
getting
armor
executed.
and 70 health. He took me down in a single hit. That's crazy.
Wow.
I was like, I have 60 armor and like a good amount of health. Hitting for like 80 while I had 140 armor. Wow.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
So for Chimera, you have to stay at 100 health. If you're less than that, you're in death range.
Basically.
Yeah, especially in melee.
I mean, that's good to know now, though. Like, honestly, you just have to make sure you're topped up as much as possible. Don't save those heals, basically.
No, I'm already out of heals, and
Heck.
he just nicked me.
There should be enough medic bags over in the on the platform.
Yeah. I just gotta get to them before he gets me.
Unless he teleports in front of you.
Oh, that would be horrible. But I would expect nothing less.
Yeah.
Is that? I'm pretty sure that fan is still up if you can activate it in time.
Yeah, it'll do a little bit to a boss.
No, it's damaged. It looks like.
Oh.
Medic.
There's a few fans on this map though. I know I activated, so.
Am I the only one alive? No.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. It's all on you. A full health
Thanks.
bar, more than half a health bar.
Alright, yeah, you know, I've been through worse. You know, I also had to go through the
You're
tropics.
soloing a raid boss, man. You got this.
Soloing a raid boss. Yeah.
Totally
Done it my life
fine.
before. First time for anything.
Man, Shibata and Green Striker did so much damage.
They did. Hats off to them. This is tough.
I did 3,000 healing and 10 revives already. That's crazy.
Ooh, nice.
still have no idea how I get the most executions out of everyone. Or headshots.
Yeah, headshots is surprising. Executions I can kind of
I
see.
mean, executions, yes.
Because you'd be in the front, right, with the melee.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't even know
Also,
what
you're the
allows
highest.
executions
You're like
to
the
happen.
highest level
so.
ninja, so.
I think it's just a health threshold on the enemy.
Probably.
Mine is all hip fire, no headshot. Yeah, that's true. I don't. My gun has no accuracy, so I can't headshot.
Mommy.
Well, I could headshot, but it'd have to be close range. So, at that point, I'm just hip fire.
Oh, just missed me. I'm just waiting out the time until I can get the Hellion.
Uh-oh.
Hit me pretty bad there. Yep.
Yeah.
Give me a top up.
Oh.
I'm taking the zipline instead. See ya.
I mean, as soon as it hits half health, it's gonna start teleporting like crazy, too.
I know. It's gonna be really hard to beat that.
You will respawn at the end of the wave. Oh, no, I won't. There's no way, man.
Here. Have a wave. A fan wave.
No, he just bumped into it and broke it. He did
Yeah,
take some
I know.
damage, but...
Some damage, not a whole lot. Not as much as I was hoping.
Every time.
Yeah.
I think this one's cooked.
Oh, God. Oh, my God. Your body just slid across the platform.
Oh boy. Oh.
GG.
GG.
Yeah, cold damage is very good against them. Biological. That's true. If I had brought the... So if I had brought the, Ghostbuster, it would have done really good.
I'm gonna take the cold damage gun.
I'm pretty sure my starting sword is biological, but not my endgame sword.
Yeah. It's also resistant to cutting and fire, so it's like harder.
I'm pretty sure the first phase is resistant to it, not the second phase.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Turn party to strong.
Because I deal more damage in the second phase, but it definitely seems to be neutral toward electricity.
Yeah.
It's just really hard to prepare for any situation like that when we don't know what's coming up.
Yeah, they definitely need to add something so you, at some point, can tell what kind of boss you're about to fight. Just because
Alright,
elements are
let me-
important. If elements weren't important,
Yeah,
like
elements
Killing
matter.
Floor 2, then it'd be fine.
Yeah, it'd be a different story.
Elements are useless or neutral. What? But also, that's fair. Perk. Supply pass. A new color scheme. Why is it a wolf with a pistol? Weird one.
Hey, Amambina.
I like it. It's kind of cartoony.
Why, what is this
On the
one?
plus side, I finally have Blood Hunt.
Bioweapons Defense Division? Interesting.
Yeah, damn. Ugh. I get nothing when that happens.
I'll upgrade my not dead yet perk.
Oh, it's an eyeball. Oh my god, there's a thing here of the medic just injecting the green gunk into a fleshbound head. Like, what the heck?
Let's see what happens for science.
Yeah. Is that what I've been doing with the morphine? Am I just trying stuff for science?
Well, I don't know, but it seems like something Obi would do.
Possibly.
I don't know. Would you conduct some sort of unethical experiment like that?
As a goblin,
Oh, me-
yes.
As a goblin, yeah, of course.
It looks like with Blood Hunt equip, it changes the icon for my skill.
Oh,
Sort of random, but cool.
yeah.
Neat.
The rest of the... Oh, I should look up... Hold on. Where's the codex? They have the codex here that's pretty handy for bringing out all the stuff.
Yeah,
damage type.
I do like how comprehensive it is.
Oh, yeah, I forgot that
Yes.
damage types actually say what they're effective against, too. Ineffective against armor and set attack. Yeah, that makes sense. Ineffective against flesh. Force is effective against everything. No. Sorry, it's neutral against everything, at least.
No, yeah.
It's
I
not
mean, to be
ineffective.
fair, wouldn't a bullet just sort of solve most issues eventually?
Yeah. Ineffective against Mire. Interesting. Mire is resistant to ballistic. Huh. I did not know that.
Are you doing hard again, or?
Yeah, we can do hard
Good.
again.
All right, I'm gonna switch to my higher just to make sure, like.
Oh, I didn't know the Scrake had 3 weaknesses. Did they change that? No, it's just the opposite of Fleshbound. Okay. So the Scrake is weak to biological, cutting, and ballistic. But resistant to explosive and electricity. And then Fleshbound's the opposite. Impaler is only weak to electricity and acidic. Chimera is only weak to explosions and cold. Those are the only 2 effective elements on it.
I mean, at least my bow has explosives, but still not that good of explosives, but...
Oh yeah, you're right. So cutting is, because of the armor, is weaker at the beginning but stronger after, but it's always resistant to electricity and fire.
It's good to keep in mind.
Yeah. Oh, it actually tells you. Okay, so the Queen Crawler executes down players during any phase. Chimera executes down players during phase 2. Impaler will always execute downed players. Okay, so the Chimera's the only one that won't execute you in phase 1 if it sees you down. Huh.
That makes the Impaler definitely a much higher threat knowing that.
Oh, Fleshbounds won't execute down players, only Scrakes will. That's also good to know. Does it say what other ones do? Bloats do. Oh yeah, I've been barfed on. Oh, Sis can execute down players. That's unfortunate.
Ooh.
So, yeah, that's gonna... Okay.
The
Well, I
little
guess it
minions
doesn't...
can kill you.
Yeah, I guess it doesn't matter if the Fleshbound downs you, if the Cyst will just execute.
Yeah, when it's like right next to it.
Chimera
with the 100+
gives you
wave.
Flood Thrasher vibes. I see that.
Yeah, the Chimera, the Chimera, yeah, that thing's great. I like the...
Oh my god, the queen crawler's kind of like a puppy.
Oh god.
Why would you say that?
Yeah, I don't know about
I just never seen her so calm.
And then there's that one. They got little hairs on their back. And those ones don't have hair.
Yeah, well, those ones that don't have the hair, they're like newborns.
Oh god, way creepier looking at them up close.
Oh, and
yeah,
actually...
this generation of crawlers, insanely creepy.
Yeah, I didn't realize there was kind of like a face there.
Wow. Crawler life expectancy, 6 months. Amount produced, 5 million produced a year. Interesting. It's weird that it says how many units are produced a year. Oh my god, there's 1 million husks a year as well. That's a lot to kill. 1.5 million flesh pounds a year. Oh my god.
Wow.
They produce insane numbers of these Zeds.
Yeah. Crawler unknown, Chimera on loan, but Impaler are produced at 35,000 a year.
Well, yeah, they cost a little more to produce in mass.
Yeah.
Introduced in the year 2063. Fleshbound introduced in the year 2010. Scrake introduced in the year
That's
2015.
a lot of
Wait,
clocks just
2010? Oh shit. They're out there.
lurking.
The new
Actually,
crawler
it's
was
funny.
in 2090. Wow. Cool. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's actually funny because the Husk and the Siren, they're also in the Codex saying that they were introduced in 2016. So, I do think that the first killing floor at least had to have taken place in 2020.
Yeah.
It's starting.
Oh my god. Wait a
That's
second.
probably just when the first outbreak happened.
Okay, so if anyone starts seeing people with chainsaw arms running around outside, just know that you need to start throwing money at things and yelling in British accents, and you'll be fine.
What you talking about? That's just Florida.
Oh. Wait a second.
Florida in a nutshell. Husks are the worst for me as well, and they just chew through my armor too. They just burn
Yeah.
through it. It's awful.
Makes you a husk of your former self.
I like that. Wordplay.
Or watching out for evil hands in trees, yeah. Or, you know, things crawling on the ground like, oh god, I don't want to picture the crawlers as IRL. That's messed up. Oh, hello, Arx.
Yeah, Arx is joining us. Hello.
Oh, heck yeah.
Welcome to the murder.
Oh, cool. I think we got a full team.
Yep. I have elephant morphine ready.
That's good. We're gonna need it.
Transmorphers. Medics in disguise. I don't know what I'm talking.
Transmorphers.
Look, medics are valuable. I don't care what game it is.
Animorph? God, that series was weird.
Animorphs.
I loved
It really
Animorphs.
was.
I read
It was a
read
great
so much
series,
of it,
too.
like, elementary, high school, and it was just like, it was a good series, but I had no idea what was going on.
I mean, yeah, half the time I didn't understand it either, but the premise, you know, like just these alien invaders, the Urks, mind controlling people, and then just a select group of teenagers, prepubescent, sorry,
Yeah.
just suddenly having the power to change shape. Also, there were certain restrictions on that too, but yeah, no,
Yeah.
changing into animals is wild.
Yeah.
Who just gives that power to humans? Just comes down from the start and is like, here, you can change into animals, protect your planet from these evil aliens.
God, the aliens were the worst part, too. Weren't they like slugs that crawled in your ear and like wrapped around your brain
they
or
had
something?
like these. Yeah, they wrapped around your brain because they were slugs. They had these breeding pools, and they would take captive people, take them to the pits.
Lipids.
Yeah,
basically.
So they didn't convert you. They just drove you around. That was probably
Basically.
my favorite book, just with how
Oh,
messed up it
I
was.
didn't realize we were
that-
starting yet.
Oh,
Oh yeah, we're in it. We are.
Yeah, I was
hopping
taking
away
out the
from
trash.
oh. Well, good timing. It literally just started.
We are taking out the trash here now. So buckle up.
Double trash.
At least I got to grab my sword. Unfortunately, that doesn't mean I am multi-toolless, so...
That's alright. Arx just joined with a multi-tool, so I think we're... Got one at
You
least.
should be fine then.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. But yeah, definitely have a huge advantage.
What the... Sir, stop vibrating through the planet.
I still wish there was just a way to select your starting equipment by default.
Oh, like a loadout? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, especially because
That'd be
if
much
they know what
nicer
your
to have.
budget is, yeah.
Need to reload.
Aura is so good for the engineer. What is that?
Oh, someone's injured over there. Who's the injured?
Yeah, they're stuff biting my kneecaps.
You know what? Fuck this. Grenade out.
Thank you. I think I take the most damage when I'm trying to like aim to heal somebody else, because then I don't pay attention to my back.
Oh, shit.
Ooh, that one like I don't know if we killed it or if it suicided on you there.
No, I blew up on it.
Oh, you blew up on it. Okay. That makes sense.
One click wonder.
Alright, who needs Dosh?
I'm okay. I'll
I
probably
mean-
die next wave.
I mean,
anyway.
I will, but I'm nowhere near my thing at the moment, so... Might as well give it to someone else who can use it.
There you go.
Oh, okay, that worked.
Okay, this
It's
Bro, you were
something.
playing as the medic. The
Yeah.
money goes to you.
Invest in healthcare.
Exactly.
Get ready to set team.
Yeah, that turret's turned on. I actually really do like this map. Especially if you get like a sharpshooter on the convoy cars over here. It's a pretty good open space.
It's a nice map in general.
Yeah, I like it a lot as well.
It reminds me of Mountain Pass from Killing Floor 1.
You know, I talked to Davey about that too, and he was like, he doesn't really care for map pass. He told me.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, but
As far as maps go for Killing Floor games, one of my favorites still has to be Biolabs.
I don't know how it never came up, but I actually didn't know Davey played the first Killing Floor.
that's what he told me at least. So.
Huh.
And it kind of seems like we were like the only people, besides like maybe like 1 or 2 streamers that actually still were streaming Killing Floor 2.
Yeah.
Killing Floor 2 on Xbox is kind of dead. There's no one. Not even a
fair.
post.
There's a decent number on Steam, but yeah, I don't think consoles really held out very much.
To be fair, it was just an absolute grind to do anything in Killing Floor 2.
Yeah. Which is funny
I
because
mean,
it
it
was.
seems like it was always going strong on PC, especially whenever we announced the community nights. Every single person would flock over.
Yeah. I do.
Which is great,
Still
we've
never
been
made sense.
introducing more people to it.
I do wish
It
I
still
figured
never
out-
made sense why the Berserker in Killing Floor 2 had night vision goggles.
Yeah, that's weird. I do wish I could have figured out how to turn on the infinite double experience weekend on the server though. Like someone made a mod for that, but it's not like publicly anywhere, so it's kind of like I'm trying to figure out how they did it. But just because like the double experience in Killing Floor 2 feels like how the game should have just done experience, you know? Like it's perfect.
Like you get a good, satisfying experience that
Yeah.
isn't in the base game.
It makes the early levels a little fast, but like it removes that oppressive grind of the late levels and makes them reasonable.
Yeah, I get that.
Getting level 25 was ridiculous.
Yeah. And guess what? Crazy psychopath prestiged every class at level 25.
Jeez, man.
You?
Yeah.
Why?
Right here.
Because I wanted all the cool, useless skins for the different classes.
I think I think I prestiged Berserker all the way.
Get your
Yeah.
I think
supplies,
that was
guys.
it.
Yeah.
I never even prestiged. I'm glad I just didn't like the prestige cosmetics.
No, I definitely didn't level up for shit in Killing Floor 2. And still, Killing Floor 1 that I devoted most of my time to, I only got to like level 6 in Commando. That was the highest one, so
Yeah,
it was tough to grind up those levels.
I think I hit level 25 medic in Killing Floor 1, but that's the only class I ever reached in Killing Floor 1.
Yeah, it's just
Oh.
insane, the grind.
Killing Floor 2 though, like there was a lot of ways to speed up the grind. Like we would host community nights on double experience weekends, and because the server was like 24 players, it would be like 700 Z waves, and you get so much experience.
That does sound amazing.
That would have been so nice.
Yeah, like we're doing one tomorrow again. It's not double experience, but it'll be a lot of Zs.
Yeah, I would like to join that. I might be a little late because I'm going to a festival with my folks.
No,
but,
that's fair.
Nice.
Should be in time to at least enjoy it for a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm gonna grab a multi-tool to start opening up the map a bit more.
Yeah, it's not a
Yeah.
bad idea.
And turrets.
I got an ammo bag.
Didn't figure anyone would complain with that.
Nah. Called a multi that tool, if you know what I'm saying. Why does... Oh, your foot's inside of a rock. I was like, why does Artistic have one green foot and one non-green foot? That was a strange interaction
Do you
there.
not just have a green foot?
Not unless it's like gangrene.
Yeah, green foot.
I think it's just like the team highlight thing because of the rocks on your foot.
Well, that
Yeah, that's what it is. It's
Fair
like
enough.
Clips because it thinks the collision for the
Goddamn
camera-
Swiss.
Something
Wait,
with
what?
the model and
What was the
texture.
modifier? Wasn't it like bloats?
Yep,
Oh, wow.
extra
Yeah, it's just
bloats.
like a salt.
That must have been so embarrassing for you.
Oh, fun. Just what I was hoping for.
Also, I
Progress report.
am very mad at the flesh pound modifier because it actually does add a ton of flesh pounds, but it doesn't reduce the number of enemies at all, which is like, if you're adding like tons more flesh pounds, you should cool the enemies down a bit because it just takes forever for the game to load every flesh pound. Like they put them out in like slow little bursts of like 2 at a time, and you need to go through like 100 of them. Okay.
Oh, I am bleeding out.
Trying to you. Okay.
Oh, that's a Gore-Fest coming towards me.
Oh god, that's a scrape. Yeah. Oh,
You're not
double
executing
scrapes.
me today.
I got you. Picking up.
Have some morphine, because I also have a morphine gun.
Nice.
Oh, you got it. Sweet. Okay. Cool.
Okay.
Now we just have to fight our way back in. I'm gonna drop a healing grenade here just to get a little extra healing going.
A nice bleach solution ought to clean that right up.
I think that goes fast with its own
What?
game.
He
I
doesn't
like
have a
it.
head. How am I cutting off his head when he doesn't have one? What the heck? Fuck it. Healing dome.
Healy Dome!
Yeah.
Taking too much damage over here. There we go. It's probably just all the picking acid.
To be fair, you do quite a bit of damage with that.
Yeah.
At least on smaller Zeds.
He just stood back up again. Yeah, it's like,
Load up, folks. Pod's open.
And that was pretty funny, though. I could see his eyes, but there was no head. Like, someone had already blown it off, and I was just sawing nothing.
Yeah, this game is silly like that.
I do think my favorite version, though, is when it, like, cuts down, basically, to, make it look like you're, like, you pull the head down, basically, like you're sawing its head off, but your character looks up, and I'm like, oh god, what is happening right now?
I never had that happen to me before.
Yeah, no, I had the camera look up as soon as it pulled the head down. I'm like, wow, that is,
That sounds funky.
Free dosh. Take what you need.
Dropping Dosh.
Oh,
I could use
got it.
Dosh.
Oh yeah. Are you in the trader?
I
How
am.
much you need?
Alright.
I have no armor.
1,000.
Wait, there was an armor chest
1,000
back
quid
there. I'm
for
gonna
you.
go grab
Okay,
her.
that's good. Thank you. Actually, that was more than enough. I was able to get my best weapon.
Perfect.
I couldn't refill my ammo, but I do have like 3,000 rounds, so that's probably good.
I couldn't get a shiny new gun, but I got
Awesome,
everything I
awesome.
need with the bullets.
Yeah, I'm good.
And the free
Imagine
armor.
eating
Yeah.
Imagine needing ammo. This post was made by a melee gang.
Certified melee gang. Swinging swords, whacking spells.
Stock up on syringes.
I think there's enough
What's that?
syringes here.
Warfest.
So-
Your location.
It does seem though there is a limited pool of items for you to grab for medic packs and whatnot.
Yeah.
Here, I'll drop my
So what is this effect? +1 damage. I saw Arcs drop in this. It's like a damage dome.
Yeah, it's like a buff.
Kind of neat.
Making strides, team.
Yeah, it's like a
25%
aura
down.
effect, like a sanctum.
Probably a percentage bonus type deal or something like that. Either way, it's another thing to rally around, so that could
Yeah.
be useful.
Yeah, perfect rallying too. Where's that flashbang?
Oh, reloaded.
Right there.
Where's the
Oh,
flesh
no.
bound?
I love how sometimes my magazine is empty and it'll fire one more bullet. Oh, that flesh pound was down for execution, but it stood back up.
They will get back up if you don't execute them in time.
Yeah. Oh, sir, your head is missing. Just go down. There we
It
go.
does make me think that they're gonna add executions to all the specialist enemies, like sirens and whatnot.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, they might. I'm hoping they'll make more Flesh Pound and Scrake level enemies in the future. I think it would be kind of cool. Kind of mix the heavy.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
There we go.
Scrape and Flesh Pound. There's a siren. Husk also inbound.
What happens if they make the Scrake Pound?
Scrape Pound.
Strengths of
Can be
both,
pen.
weaknesses of none.
That'd be terrifying.
Point still stands, then we panic.
Yep. Full panic. Not today. Oops, that's a lot of flesh pounds.
Oh, pounded. Oh, and in this wave
Well-
too. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, I don't have
Anyone
enough.
mind sparing me enough dosh for my weapon then?
I
Yeah,
have
I can give you an
100.
investment. How much you need?
Sorry, who needs Josh?
Green Striker.
Yes,
Yeah,
I need
okay.
a lot.
I'll give you 1,000. Because I also need to fill up on ammo.
Okay, we got 1,000,000
you go.
syringes in case anyone needs
I need a
healing.
lot.
Yeah, you're not joking.
I can get it now, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
With 6 dosh to spare.
Here, have some more ammo.
Don't worry, I've got the 420 Hawk Tua.
This is so many
I
don't
syringes.
still
want it anymore.
despise the fact you named yours that.
Hang on. Hang on, I gotta take a screenshot.
Unironically,
of all these.
despise it.
That is a lot of syringe bags.
Let's just hope. So this gun is good against everything except for the Chimera. The other gun I have is good for only the Chimera. So let's hope that we don't get the Chimera.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
If you see a
Okay,
yellow
looks like
area,
it's
it's my rally ability. It boosts 25% weapon damage. Oh wow, that's much better than I thought.
Weapon
Oh, that
damage
is,
for everybody.
Yeah,
That is going to be insane.
that'll be really handy.
Especially on the sharpshooter.
That is good.
I have my swords. I should be able to run around a little bit and find armor.
Odds closed, Nightfall. Let's move out.
Man, Arx is outputting insane.
Oh boy, they
There's
coming.
a full set of armor on the bridge, by the way, Artistic. Like in that cabinet up there. Yeah.
I could really use some basics of that.
That's what I had to do the last week.
Oh, and there's the flesh pound! On me!
Oh my god.
All the way across
I've
the
never
map.
heard that line before. Your firebug's like, oh my god, they just Kool-Aid man to that wall.
That's great.
Order down. Let's keep this up.
Oh man, there's a lot of Mire enemies.
Oh god. I really hope it.
No thanks, flesh pounds. I do not want to be here.
Let's go.
Oh man. What kind of drug is this? And can I add it to my prescription? Can I hit from here?
Down. I'm gonna help Arx.
There's a lot of flesh pounds on me, be warned.
As soon as you were knocked around the car, I was able to kill you with the dirt.
That is an absolute saving grace, because I saw a,
Two on me?
a few enemies booking it straight for me.
I got a murder dome down over here.
Oh, what's that they say? May you die in interesting times?
Oh, that was nasty.
In the syringe bags.
Oh fuck, oh fuck.
I chucked a bunch of healing grenades around. Don't forget your syringes.
Try my best.
Shooting flesh pound.
My gadget's almost ready.
Ah,
Man, I gotta heal again. Ugh. Nice.
whew.
Man, I
Gotcha,
I was hovering around like 10 health for most.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go.
Well, I'm just happy that we survived that wave.
Yeah.
Much better.
Those flesh pounds messed me up.
Yeah.
Honestly, the pounded wave that late in the game tends to be a run ender too, so I'm kind of impressed.
I
Especially
also
on the
don't
harder
think
difficulties.
I've had that on hard. So I was like, oh no.
Spread out here,
Uh, you know, I'm gonna grab syringe bags.
Yeah.
I'm
Um,
grabbing a really big gun. Could someone spare me some dosh?
Who
for
needs
a
it?
big gun?
I'm proper skin. Anyone feeling generous?
No, just for some extra ammo. Thanks.
There you go.
That's more than enough.
Here's 800.
More than enough. Thank you. Thank you. Very
Money is
charitable.
no object.
Thank you, I tried to be.
Do we want to go over to the massive syringe bag pile? Oh, suit, you don't have armor.
Yeah, I don't have armor.
Oh, there's a... Can you get it from the armor thing here?
No.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
probably got it earlier when during the flushing.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, that should help,
Arch
thanks.
is dropping dosh.
Yeah.
Soup. Soup.
Oh, it got me to
Oh.
30.
Soup behind you.
if I'm not
Oh.
mistaken, there's a armor thing in this building that I opened
Okay,
earlier.
got
Yeah,
it.
but suit's already used it.
It is because it was a flush pound wave.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Let's do this.
those flesh pounds messed me up.
They tend to.
They messed a lot of us up.
Oh,
We're fucked.
triple
Oh, no.
impaler.
Oh
Here
god,
we
we're
go.
There we
fucked.
go, lads.
Time to split up, everybody.
Oh shit,
With who, with
okay.
who?
Yeah, I think we separate.
Yeah, splitting up in groups is better.
Okay.
Improves our chances of
Yeah.
survival.
I'll rock with
I'm
artistic.
you, Arx. Arx, you're my battle buddy.
I'm gonna... You and Arcs are probably fine. I'm gonna go help with the...
Don't you on me?
Or I guess I'm here. I might as well help.
Ow.
Oh shit.
I think I'm about to be executed.
Just a pinch.
Oh.
I'm being attacked viciously.
Oh, I have made a mistake.
I was gonna say, if you need to just run, make sure that you're just running. Oh
Yeah,
god.
survival's more important.
Yeah.
In it.
Oh, we got two on us.
We just went down.
Okay, the one's after them. I guess I'm gonna have to stick with Green Striker for the moment. Man, you have so much health.
And yet it's still not enough.
Arx and I have 2 of the inhalers on us.
Oh, damn.
Oh god, that's two.
Stop the bleeding. Ready.
Oh man, I gotta reload everything. There we go. The red impalers, like the one me and Green Striker has, is almost down.
Ah!
I'm stimming.
Shit. I didn't see any syringe bags.
They might despawn eventually.
Wait, I see, maybe that's one. Oh my god. Yep.
As soon as we're done with this one, we'll come help with the next one. Oh, there's another one coming already. Okay. This one's almost dead. We got it. Red's down.
Nice.
Oh fuck.
Anyone know where anyone know where an ammo
Oh,
bag
done.
is?
I'm down.
It's deteriorating rapidly.
I got
have
you.
one.
Wow, it hit me. Just one hit is all it took.
Out of syringes. Dropping the ammo. Placing it.
There's a syringe bag right there for whoever needs it.
Yeah, I'm using
Cool
towards
down still. Fuck.
I'm headed towards the ammo because I need more for my swords.
it. Wait, I was at 0 health. How? Oh, right.
Oh man,
because
it's gonna get me.
skill. Forgot
Yeah,
about the
I
skill that
gotta-
lets me avoid death.
I put syringe bags under the bridge over here, near the
Oh my
main
God.
building.
Oh my god, thank you. Oh my god, thank you.
On the ground.
Oh god, I'm coming.
Well, help.
No, there's like no time.
Get away from me.
Nope, can't stop, won't stop. Screw this, I'm going back.
No, forbidden.
Those
Okay,
red
I'm
syringes are
good.
so nice.
There's so many syringes here.
Okay, greens and oh man, I'm out of ammo. That's not good.
There's ammo bags back with the syringes too.
Oh, this there? Okay, we might have to make our way over there.
Yeah.
At least I can still heal with the other pistol.
Yeah, I just ran there.
Oh, is the other one over here somewhere? I saw smoke on the way.
Missiles.
Oh, that's not good.
I got fireballs
Oh,
thrown
no.
at me. It doesn't look like one's running over to book it. Oh wait, I take that back.
There's one on me.
Oh shit.
Oh
Bridge
no,
trigger's down.
fuck, yep.
I'm pretty sure her. So you should be able to pick up my swords. It might help. Or who's playing ninja?
I don't think we have another ninja. I mean, the
Just
swords are
me.
still
No.
useful.
My highest level is Firebug, so...
Oh god damn.
Oh no!
Thank you. Oh,
Bleeding out.
I got you.
Another head.
I tanked the best I could. It clearly was not enough.
Oh god.
Bleed out.
Shit.
Oh, I can't hit him from that side. Hold on. Here we go.
Alright, next week.
I've got another murder dome. I'm coming over.
We're getting super aggressive right now.
Oh my god. Okay, I'm gonna run.
Oh wow, yeah, it's outdoing the murder dome. Wow.
Oh fuck, okay.
I'm in the murder dome, so my bleed out's not going down.
Okay.
Oh, unless he executes me. Damn.
Too late.
Shit.
I tried getting.
Damn.
Alright, we lost our medic.
They are almost dead. If you can figure out which one the white one is, then you'd be down to one. I think that's the green one. That's what Scott.
Dig to me.
Oh,
They all
okay.
got it out for me.
Oh fuck, it's gonna... Oh no. Oh no.
Arx has got the other one. Okay, it's getting low.
Oh god. Oh no. Shit.
Here, have a bomb.
Okay, it turned around, so it's clear.
Yeah. I got it on me. I got aggro.
It's so close.
Oh, I'm doing my best.
Arx, that fan is also ready to be used. That you just ran past.
The Filbo's got one and Arx got one. Okay, Filbo and Soot are together.
Oh, yes. That
I think it
Vulcan.
blew its
I
arm
love
off.
your Vulcan.
Yep.
I love your
Okay.
Vulcan.
Okay, last one.
Arx got the last one on them. They're in the tunnel near
Honestly,
you guys.
I'm not sure if they're more
Okay,
dangerous
okay.
with or without their arms.
Right here.
Because without them, they throw fireballs, but with them, they just do that leap.
Yeah.
Yes! Oh my god,
Good
GG!
job.
Oh, we did
Good
it.
job. Your
Wow.
Vulcan is amazing.
Oh!
Nice. Good
Well
job.
done, everybody.
I love that.
Oh.
I love that Arx just led the one around in circles that whole time dealing damage.
That was definitely a trick. I just kept looping, and if I needed help, I ran to the syringe bags and grabbed some ammo, and I just kept kind of like chasing.
I mean, I learned that if you go down in the medic dome, you don't bleed out. Like your bleed out timer just stays still because I guess it's healing the same amount. So
Yeah, so
Yeah, that
it's
was
like
good.
buffering your healing versus the bleeding. It's
So if you think you're gonna go down, pop the medic dome.
yeah. Unless it's
Unless
an
you get
impaler and they just
executed,
execute. Yeah.
unless that happens, yeah.
Yeah.
Or second phase Chimera.
Yes.
Ugh, gross.
Or crawler anytime because they like to pop out of the ground and execute you, which really sucks.
Yeah.
And they tend to like to do that. Ah, I wish I was joking, but literally one upgrade point away from being able to upgrade my Blood Hunt +2.
Oh, bummer.
Ooh, do I increase the Sanctum duration by 1, or it's healing by, like, 15%?
That's tough.
Honestly, I'd say duration.
Yeah.
Its healing is good enough to keep me alive to tank, so... And if it's capable of doing that, then it should be pretty good.
Yeah, and then it'll go up to... Yeah, it's 1 second per upgrade, so I can get it all the way up to, like, 8 seconds. That'd be good. Pardon me. Oh. First. Oh, we had pardon me, we had shawarma rice earlier. Very
yeah. Shawarma rice is so good. Or if you get
Rice is good in
shawarma
general.
poutine.
Good. Yeah, shawarma poutine's good too. What is this map? Where am I right now?
Yeah.
Took me to like
Some-
Brazil.
Come to
I think
Brazil.
Brazil's over here, but
Yeah.
I don't know what this
No
island
thanks.
is. Is this an
I
island
I think
or
I'd
a
rather
smudge?
stay here.
Hang on, I'm pulling up my maps.
It's a smudge. Are you sure you didn't just mistake a smudge on your telescope for a man on the moon?
No, it looks like the Galapagos Islands, actually.
Oh, okay. Maybe that's where our base is?
Could be.
Stronghold, maybe? Oh, does anyone want to do any... I should check if there's any upgrades. Gotta keep boosting them weps, you know what I'm saying?
Let me check my weekly, daily assignments and see what we still have on them.
I have a daily in the sewers.
Oh.
Yeah, me
interesting.
too.
Okay.
We survived the sewers. We get some supply pass XP and some perk XP.
The best place to ever go.
The sewers, yes.
I still am not certain how effective bleed is, but I have my serrated edge purple now.
Cool.
Cool. Excellent. I want to upgrade this. Oh wait, do I already have the instant heal darts? No. Wait, why are there two? Huh? Squad rapid release versus stumblesome rapid release. Weird. Okay, I don't know why I have the two. I want instant heal darts. Were there two kind of non-instant heal darts?
I'm not aware.
Squad strength and stumblesome. They're the same. What the heck? Yeah, they're identical. Hold on, I'm gonna sell one of these.
Weird.
They have different names, but they're the identical darts.
Exactly the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Okay, instant heal
Whatever.
darts.
I also have a daily and weekly for defeating the Queen Crawler, and of course she doesn't show up.
That's
she's
how
being
it
a little
works.
shy today.
Yeah.
It's how it always goes.
Oh, replaces your healing firing mode. That's weird. Save. I forgot I called it the flatline.
Yeah.
Neat.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I agree.
Fitting.
Okay, any on hard. Let's go again. Let's do it.
I happened to notice some of you didn't complete your
I'm just spending
combat
my supply
readiness
pass
test
ticket.
exam.
Oh god.
Don't think I won't ask you
She
when
found
you
out I didn't finish the exam. I gotta go.
Oh!
I didn't pass medical school. And that's why I'm a military medic.
I see.
Safe travels up there.
I have a higher kill count than save count.
Look, the medic from TF2 puts it best. Doctors actually heal you, medics make it comfortable as you die.
I mean, that's why all I give everyone is infinite amounts of morphine.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's not there to actually heal us. It's just there to stop the pain.
I can't imagine how much morphine was in Green String in that last mission.
Too much. I think I died from the morphine than the boss.
Oh, I have a 490 left. If I had 500 operational budget left, I'd be able to get the other. Oh wow, that's fine. It's close enough.
Soon.
Yeah, soon.
Maybe?
Oh, so close. Ooh,
I am so
it-
jealous
oh,
you
this
get
is
to do
gonna
the Horizon studio tour.
we had to do the Horizon studio tour. Nice.
They're more afraid of
What?
us than we are of them.
Alright.
Free tour.
Oh. Apparently, I just have to clear the remaining waves for my current mission.
Oh, nice.
It's probably because we died to the Chimera, so...
Oh, right. That's true.
Oh, it's probably gonna be Chimera this time, because I also have that Chimera project thing.
Oh, okay. So I'll go for my other gun then.
Yeah. It's probably a set spawn.
It means I'll have more healing grenades, but less darts. So we'll see how that works.
Garbage. Get off this platform. You guys are cool. That gore fast, I meant.
Oh. Oh! Yay! I can get over here. Oh, you can just climb up? Wow, I immediately feel less excited about this spot I found.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I didn't realize you can just climb up the side. I thought I jumped from the thing and I was like, oh, that's so cool. It's fine, just crush my hopes and dreams. I am excited that they just like double confirmed in the thing they did today for Killing Floor 3 that that Berserker's coming back, so
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. I'm excited to see the two differences.
yeah.
Because I'm really liking the fast pace of the ninja and everything.
This all looks quite
Yeah, didn't you say before
I,
Tweak
I
it might
do
something
wish
more
that they
like
put the Frost
Yeah,
Fang
I think
into
it'll-
Killing
I think
Floor
it'll be
3, though.
more- I think it'll be more of like a heavy melee class.
That's yeah, that'll be cool. Yeah, it makes sense.
But yeah, they were basically like, you know,
That
all
door's
the
open
classes are
for
separate,
whoever needs it.
so they will come back eventually.
I'm happy to hear. Because, you know, Berserker, that was
I
the class
do
that-
hope they make the Knight from the second game as the Berserker.
Oh, that would be funny. Yeah, great way to bring him back. Because DJ Scully's coming in with the Gunslinger class. So.
Yeah, DJ Scully's coming back. I love that.
Yeah, I love it. I love this DJ Scully.
He looks good. They showed off the model in today's stream too, like that they're working on.
Oh, I
I
gotta
really
check
wish I
that
caught
out.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to take a look at that as well, because I do not remember DJ Scully at all.
Oh.
Really?
Kinda surprising given everything.
I mean, he's been a mainstay
He's
since
only the
first Killing Floor.
best.
I mean, he adds so many customization options in Killing Floor 2, though. I wouldn't be surprised if you saw him and he just didn't look anything like the last time. You know?
Yeah, probably.
I mean, it's like 60 plus years in the future, too. Who knows what could have happened?
Oh man,
Uh-huh.
this dude got deboned almost.
Deboned, you say?
Deboned.
I mean, to be fair, at that point, I'm... Oh, who needs Dosh? Before we continue.
I mean, I always had Dosh when the
Um,
wave started. So.
Yeah,
Yeah.
next wave.
I'll have
was like, it
plenty
might be
of
a bit
Dosh
late.
to give next wave.
More syringes.
I completely blanked because I was trying to open up the map.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Today going fast.
Oh my. Wow. How did that happen? We took off all 4 of his limbs and his torso just flopped to the ground.
That's called Ninja.
Actually, there's a fan right below us. Why don't we abuse this?
Oh, I hear a Scrake's chainsaw. Hold up.
Wow, everything's trying to jump down to get me, and I'm standing right in front of the fan, so they're all just getting blended. Excellent.
Oh, if you need armor, or there's some right there.
Thanks. I'm still okay.
That's 50%.
I figured you'd be alright, because the wave did just start.
But these husks are chewing away at it real quick.
Mmm, yummy armor. Oh god, ow. Rude. Making me use my own morphine. A good dealer never uses their own. I mean, medic.
Yeah, medic. Totally. Totally not just my local morphine dealer. What you talking about? No, totally.
So how did you sign up for Nightfall? You know, the standard hiring process in a back alley.
Oh, hello, Mr. Scrake.
Oh, your dome, the damage dome goes through floors.
Oh, sweet. You know what? I'm gonna give myself another dose.
Oh, that is a lot of husk.
I see why people are getting hooked on this shit.
Alright, sorry whoever wanted to use that fan.
Man, those sirens were really wrecking me there.
I feel like they do a lot more
where are
damage
we
on
going?
hard.
The husks really are a bit of an issue, though.
Yeah.
I agree, you know?
When they're an issue, get a tissue.
Gonna need a little more than that against a husk.
Will not just burn more.
Yeah, you know what? Probably terrible advice. Man, watching like 5 people just immediately shoot a speaker on a wall.
Then me just run up to try and cut it with my sword.
We need the resources.
I am 100 dosh off my upgrade.
What do I buy?
Consider it done.
Yay!
Who else needs dosh? I got 1,000 to give.
I could use some dosh. I just need to refill. Thank you.
There's an armor crate somewhere around here, right? Under the stairs.
Yeah, over here too.
Under the stairs in the Chimera room, there is one.
I didn't want to spend the extra money on armor, so. Hey, buddy.
I just upgraded my armor.
Hey, buddy, how's it going? Are you okay in there?
He's dancing.
Yeah, he must be having a party.
I'm going to cut you limb from limb.
Hold still. You'll be over in a
Hey,
moment.
look at him go. He's dancing.
He dancing.
He danced for our enjoyment.
You said that they use the same
Even
animations
nodded.
from Killing Floor 2?
Yeah, like that's
Yeah, they definitely
almost the
do.
exact same, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice
funny.
slice.
You'll see Klotz in the
next-
cells doing
Closed
that.
up, but
Next wave, I should have enough for my dual swords.
Nice.
Oh,
With a
what?
few donations, anyways.
Oh,
Hop in.
oh wow, this purple battery efficiency on this thing is amazing. I haven't even had to reload yet. Oh, Scrake on me.
There's a nice one. Why do I grab onto the crawlers?
See this break. Get that chainsaw. Oh, hurts that.
Break is down. At least I believe so. I saw him blow up.
Yeah. Ow. Little crawler just coming out of the wall there. What the heck?
I know, they're terrible, aren't they? They actually stick to the walls and can like move around you.
Oh, they also... There's been a leak also of the Stalker coming to Killing Floor 3, and oh my god, it's horrific. I hate it so much.
It's just stalkers coming back.
Yeah.
Let me activate that turret real quick.
God, how do I even describe it? Picture like a naked Slender Man, but its arm is split into 2 arms on both arms, like about halfway up.
So it just gets another arm.
Yeah. It's and it like crawls on all 4s. It's just, I hate it. It's so much.
Oh, yeah. sounds more disgusting than previous iterations.
There's a scrape behind
It
you.
was just like a nearly naked woman. That was just disgusting.
I'm just... Oh, there's a bloodbound too.
Yeah, I decapitated him.
Yeah.
And that
What?
engineer ult is really good.
Engineer ult, the sonic waves.
Oh, yeah.
They're crazy.
The fact that it
What is
also
that,
does like an
bunker?
AoE when you pull it out too is like, oh, beautiful.
Yeah, it does a nice shockwave AoE at the start. It's a really good ult. That gadget.
Try and get the little bit of extra healing in on everybody for the dosh. There we go.
Alright, I got 1,600
I'd
that
suck
I
on
can
grenades
give,
while you have a
but
chance.
next round I'm gonna have to save up for my swords.
Oh yeah, that's
you
fair.
should. I just have tier 2 armor. I'd like to upgrade to tier 3, but I can do that next wave.
Yeah, I'm still at tier 2 armor.
Oh, thank you. I just need a little bit.
This fan is still in good working order if we want to blend anything.
Location marked.
Oh yeah. I
Uh,
love to blend.
honestly, I'd say save it for the Chimera.
I'm gonna put some medic bags down here
Already
too.
calling Chimera.
Might as well just like throw them around the roof so you don't have to like sit in one spot to grab.
Probably a smart idea.
Hmm. Also, put that there. So we get ammo.
Need to watch myself.
Ammo, what's that?
At this time, the pod is closed.
Come, take your medicine.
Don't cross the beam! Also, don't stare directly into the beam.
Why should I not stare into the beam?
This way.
Because of...
This way.
Find the best way to learn is by doing. Just-
Quarter down. You're doing great.
Oh, we got a flesh bound. Middle of the helipad.
They're a quarter down.
Oh,
We had a flesh bound.
yeah, a flesh. What flesh?
I don't see anything anymore.
Exactly.
All I see is blood. Blood is fuel.
Let's see construction.
I just realized you guys probably don't know about Ultra Kill.
Ultra Kill? That was a fun game.
Like that.
It was.
Oh god. Okay. I don't know how I parkoured that, but works for me.
Oh, what's the instant revive darts on, if you don't mind me asking?
For me, I have them on my SMG and my pistol.
The everyday little things, isn't it?
Okay, so they can go on the medic pistol?
Yeah. Oh, it's actually a medic skill, so any of my darts can do it, even the slow heals.
Oh, okay then. Never mind, because I was wondering if I could actually throw it on a pistol to play more of support if I needed to.
Oh yeah, no, the pickup's only medic, unfortunately.
I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah. But I do like that you get it for pistol darts first, and then you get it for grenades, and then you get it for the dome. It's like, oh.
Flash are here.
Okay, they're tased.
Murder dome! They aren't already dead.
Yeah, murder dome.
Alright, you got the gadgets ready. That's good. There's stuff.
Love me a
Ice
good
great.
murder
Open
dome.
them. Okay, never mind. He's dead. I was gonna welcome him to the murder dome, but he didn't even make it that far.
Do it.
Skill issue on him. You should have had more health.
Yeah.
Should have just got good.
Alright, anyone think they can spare me a few thousand dosh for my
I'm
swords?
splashing out for
I wish.
I need 4,018 if I want to buy it.
I can.
I
hold
just
on.
tapped myself out.
I can give you
We need
1,600.
dash. How about some dash?
Yeah,
Oh,
take it
oops.
from Arx.
Egg
Arx has
woman.
loads of
Why?
money.
Why does the Arcs have so much money?
Loads of money.
Oh, thank you.
I appreciate it, but where'd all this money come from?
Come and get it.
Tax evasion.
Oh.
Whoop
Yeah,
your
I'm
one on
gonna
the
get
counter.
I'm gonna get another medic pistol in if I can afford it.
I also get to afford my bow.
I need
That is not a common occurrence.
$60. If anyone has $60 extra, I can get that.
I've got 30.
Aw.
Hey, I got. Oh, what the?
Oh, Arcs left. Oh, they were dropping their money because they were heading out. Ah.
Oh, thank you, Arcs.
See, gotta go for a
Thanks,
bit.
Arcs.
Ah, that makes sense. Thank you, thank you. That's the
I
appropriate
applaud-
way to leave the game. Donate all the
I
money.
applaud your ideal, sir.
Yeah,
I sent you some cash.
excellent. Yep.
I've
I
got
the
5
flatline
dosh
now.
from destroying a security camera.
Now I've got healing darts for pickup and the bio launcher for damage.
Alright, great.
Okay.
Are we rolling up here then?
We will be, yeah, I was gonna say we will be missing out on Arc's like murder dome, which was really nice, but
The murder dome.
Look, yours is Murder Dome. Adding his, it's just Murder Dome Plus.
yeah, that's
It's
there's
it's
the
subscription
premium
based.
subscription. mine's the first tier, and then theirs is like the additional. Oh, ooh.
Your flesh pound.
I don't know if I liked the way that crawler died on the window. It's like squatting a spider against the glass and it just splats there. Uh-oh. That's a flesh pound. Ow. Sir, can you not?
Executing.
Oh, okay. Drop some healing
Oh,
over
great.
there. Drop some healing over there. Drop some healing here.
Goodbye, Scrape.
And there's another
You will
flash
not be
pound.
missed.
Oh, poison.
Maybe we can't get enough flesh
Even
pounds.
poison.
Oh, they broke. I didn't even know that wall was breakable.
Looks through it like the Kool-Aid Man.
Oh, and I'm tethered to a Z over there. There we go. I just had to wait for them to die for it to change targets.
Grappling hook, get back here.
I do love having like 8 extra medic grenades when like normally your capacity is like 4 at most. Hi, how's it going? Murder Dome! Whee!
Did someone say Murder Dome?
Murder Dome.
Getting that stuff.
There were 2 scrapes. I don't think they made it to the Murder Dome.
Another one.
Oh, okay.
They're
There's a
gone.
couple actually.
Oh, perfect.
We should get into the Murder
And a
Dome to
plushie.
actually heal.
Hey, you got the burst. That's not bad.
This place has got a buckle.
Ah.
Oh, that's not good. There's 3 flash pounds.
Ah.
Oh,
Not a good area. Fuck.
Okay, one of them is dead.
No.
And X.
Ah.
Now oh no, I'm being held in a corner. My one weakness. Let's just keep healing grenade my feet. Pray I can outlive this. Wow, this is real unfortunate. Okay.
Ah.
If you're not executing me.
No, I'm down. Holy fuck.
Here you go.
Oh god. There's too many Zeds in the way, so they're blocking the healing darts. Oh, that's out. Okay. I just gotta stun lock this Scrake over here.
I had to break a flesh pound's neck.
Just gotta get this next break. And we're good. Nice job.
-1
You-
scrap.
Okay.
Oh. Man, the running out of healing darts is unfortunate.
Yeah.
Let me go ahead and buy a healing pistol real quick.
I want to re-up on syringes.
The downside to using the beam crosser instead of the other one, because the other one generates healing as you shoot, so it's a little.
Okay, I got 1,000 dosh I can give you guys. Who needs it?
I don't think I have anything else I can purchase at the moment.
Dobby feels the squeeze.
If I get a little bit more, I can get an ammo bag.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah, here, I'll send you all my money real quick.
Yeah, who needs money? I got 2,000 extra.
Got
Because then
everything
I
right
can at
here.
least. Oh, thank you.
I went ahead and just bought bear traps.
All right, everything's full, so now I'll be good for boss.
There you go, Philbo. I have $2,000.
Thanks. I don't know what I'm gonna do with $2,000, so I'll just buy another gun, I guess. Thanks.
I still find it strange how
Have
come I
more
can
bullets.
stack bear traps on top of each other.
Thanks.
What the heck?
Something I found out on my second day of playing.
Whoa.
Bear track stat.
That is a big gun.
Thanks. It's my gun.
Oh.
Big boomstick, I called it.
Oh, nice.
Well, if
Does it do
Doom has taught
explosive?
me anything, it's...
Very good.
If Doom has taught me anything, it's big guns solve big problems.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Yes,
if
they
you
do.
don't solve the problem, you just need more bullet.
Oh!
Chimera time. We called it. Nice. Well, I mean, we kind of knew you were on a story mission, but still.
Yeah.
Honestly, you probably could set up like a prediction thing to see
Yeah.
which boss it is.
I should, at the start of like each round, I should do a poll. That'd be pretty funny.
It'd be fun for the Killing Floor 3 community nights.
Yeah.
Also.
Oh yeah, predictions would be better than polls actually.
You said it was weak to explosives, right?
Explosive and cold.
Okay, then I'm just gonna...
Oh, jeez.
Man, it hits so hard. I still have like most of my armor, but I was almost dead. That's crazy.
Well, I'm launching explosives at it, so... If it lacked damage, sorry, I'm not built for a bow.
Big boomstick time.
Oh god. Did he get pulled into the fan there?
Yeah. That's broken.
Yeah, he broke the fan. Alright, let me go ahead and zoom away.
Nice knockdown.
I thought I was supposed to be immune to my own explosives game.
Oh my god.
Well, I got a frag launcher, so it could be.
Hey buddy, you don't want to be after me.
Oh,
Oh, that was an
Oh,
instant kill.
well, it's almost in second phase, so do not go down at any cost.
Oh god. Can't
Still after me.
Yep.
Where even is the Chimera?
Oh.
Chasing me. It was.
I'm running up to, res.
Oh, it's on soot right now.
Oh, fuck off.
I'll be fine.
Changed enemies.
Sound like a good one to grapple to. I did not grapple onto you, sir.
I want the syringe. Thank you. The game wasn't letting me pick it up out of the bag.
That is so depressing.
It's really coming after me.
Yeah.
It
He
does not like your gun.
likes you.
It's a little odd because my sword makes stuff target me more, but
Oh, no. No, thank you, sir. I refuse.
Dude, you're literally right ahead. How can you see me?
Oh, hey, I got over the handrail.
Weak. Okay, I got you. Bleeding out. Thank you. Second phase, y'all. I'm popping Hellion.
Wow, the double tap is so hard.
prioritizing targets.
Oh.
Some more Nothing important.
2 health.
Healing grenade going in. Oh, it's spawning the ads. Oh, hello, sir. Oh, man. 80 health isn't enough either.
Yeah.
Oh, is he executing me? Oh, that sucks.
No.
I was being picked up, but he still executed me.
Yeah, I think it's just if a boss hits you,
Not to bother
get
anybody,
executed.
but I'm kind of bleeding out here.
Oh, man, that guy's hard.
Yeah, holy shit.
Got you up, Soup.
Yeah.
Is he harder than the Impaler? I'm not sure.
I'm bleeding
I still
out.
think the purple Impalers is a bit harder.
God.
So, could you help me? Oh, never mind.
I gotcha. He is on his way though, so run.
Oh god, another person down.
Got you.
I'm fixing to get executed.
No! No!
I'll melee him till I die.
You should pick up Filbo
And-
while he's being executed.
I'm trying.
No, Green Striker was being executed.
Unfortunately, it was on top of them both.
Oh, there must have been decent. Filbo was in
wasn't
another
showing
area.
me.
Yeah.
He didn't show me bleeding out for whatever reason.
Oh,
Oh well.
man.
Hard is definitely such an increase from normal.
Yeah, it's a huge jump. That's actually, they showed that in the statistics too. That like right now the player base, I think they said like 94% are playing normal, like 4% are playing hard, and like less than 1% are playing hell on earth. So
I think that's actually just dead completion rate.
yeah, completion rate. Yeah.
That is
But still, it's a
quite
big
the analytics.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, let's do a little normal. I want to try a different class.
Yeah, sure.
All right.
What do I want to show? I haven't played Sharpshooter in a while. I should play that one again.
Despite my love for sniping in games, I do not do good as sharpshooter and killing floor.
It's actually funny. I disliked Sharpshooter and Killing Floor 1 and 2, but I've liked Sharpshooter and Killing Floor 3. It's very strange.
It honestly feels like the bow should go on to sharpshooter instead. Sort of weird to say though.
Yeah, I guess what was on Sharpshooter and Killing Floor 2? I was trying to remember if it was on
Yeah, that's
anything else.
probably why I feel that way, to be honest.
Oh god, I forgot I named my sniper the Penetrator.
Nice.
I was like, what is this? And then Railroaded. And then the little boomstick.
Amazing.
Yeah. Reconnection successful. There it goes.
Okay,
Hey! That was strange.
we're back.
Oh, I'm gone. Hold up.
Good.
YouTube
so-
Studio.
Suit will return shortly.
Oh yeah, let me see if it closed. Oh god, I gotta tab out. Get ready for encoding errors, everybody, for a second.
Oh boy. We love encoding errors here.
Boop-a-doop-a-doo.
Grab a
Close
refill
that.
real quick.
That was strange. Yeah, we I guess the whole internet had a hiccup because Discord went down for a second too. So
Weird.
I didn't have any issues on my end,
you.
so
oh, I just opened up VTube Studio.
Maybe it's just like a server-wide issue thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
No idea.
Excellent. The VTube Studio is open again. There you go.
Okay, I'm back.
Yeah.
Hooray!
Rah.
if we're doing normal, I might as well try a different class. But I'm also not certain because I sort of love playing ninja.
Yeah, that's fine. Can murder all the things.
Yeah, you do what your heart desires. I should be grinding some of these other perks, though.
Yeah, getting a
Heroes
little bit.
leaving. Let's move, Nightfall.
trying some. I was surprised by like some of the ones I was like, oh, this is fun.
No, they've actually made the perks
Wait,
that are
what are
available
we
here, like, really
doing?
fun.
It's normal. So if you want to try a different perk,
I would like to switch to a different perk then,
okay, yeah.
Yeah,
so
I'll
we
be playing
can
medic,
get
so
some stuff leveled.
granted, I won't be like level 25 medic, but
Yeah, I mean that's fine.
still be okay.
Medic really picks up when you get like those level 12 perks. I think was the one that was like started to do some real good stuff.
Yeah, with the gadget.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's the field expansion, the outreach center, which increases the field radius by 15%, and then you have the increased damage of 100% over time to small enemies with the Sanctum. With the
Yeah.
unit.
That's the one I take as burn unit, just because like small
Yeah.
enemies are basically never allowed in the dome at that point.
Yeah, you negate a lot of the crowd that way. It's good crowd control,
Excellent.
especially in like a tight hallway.
We got 2 sharpshooters and medic. You know what? I might do
What?
what's his face then? The commando.
Yeah, play level commando. The
Yeah.
Hellions really fun.
Let's go.
You know, I'm so close to leveling up Ninja, I'm just gonna stay on him for this next match.
All good.
Oh yeah, that's fair. Get that extra budget.
I don't feel like I get many chances to level up other
Stay
things,
safe up there, team.
unless I'm like playing on my own, so...
Boss fight.
I just find a class and just stick with it. 9
Yeah.
times out of 10, it's the melee one.
I guess. I can't, like, there's so many good perks, I don't really want to just stick to one thing. Like, I'm gonna keep... I'll have, like, my main that I'm gonna have probably highest, but, like, I want to jump around and try everything.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
I
don't
get
have a
the
secondary.
reasoning behind it.
Oh right, I forgot. Oh god. Okay, should I use the blue baller?
I just feel like staying to one thing can get tiring for me, but that's me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
go for it, Tweak.
Oddly enough, I don't really have that issue. Like playing Assault and Space Marine 2, it's always going to be satisfying to crush Xenos.
That's fair, but, like, there's a lot of cool classes and stuff, so I don't really want to miss
We have a
out.
small margin of error in our
There's a
line of
lot
work.
of fun classes in general.
Exactly. I feel like I'm, like, not really playing the game to its, like, full potential. I wanna try a bit of everything.
What happened to this guy right here? He's just stuck in a fence.
That's his life now.
Yeah, he's just chilling.
Will it-
He does
oh,
not
man.
care.
I love the will it blend on the fans.
Sounds rather blendable.
And I do miss the quips like where Foster would be like, "Y'all a bunch of no-nicka bitches," you know?
Oh yeah, with the jeering.
Well, that's what that is. It's he's a bunch of poop.
I had
My favorite.
I don't know.
was
This is my first time in this map, surprisingly.
Bloody wankers.
Wanker.
Have to eventually get Swiss on one of these and just be like, we need all the British insults for Killing Floor, please.
Yeah.
Careful.
Absolutely.
You've got the right next room.
You should see one of my bros I play D&D with.
Ooh, that's sweet.
As far as he goes for Bard, there is no better
One sec.
person
just
to cast
reloading.
Vicious Mockery. He
That's-
has something for everything.
That's always good.
Be soft, Porker.
It is very hard to do a very good bard, you know? And that kind of rhymed and it wasn't intentional, but
Well,
I
honestly,
love
the
how
thing
many
that
ways
I'm
you can play
happiest
a
about
bard
with
too.
him
Like,
is
I played a bard that was an aerial silk dancer, and she was like a performer in the circus and stuff. Was so much fun. It doesn't always have to be about music. We also had a bard that was a mime in one of our
Yeah.
groups.
can absolutely provide. They're probably not Twitch safe.
Would Vicious Mockery just be surrounding them in an invisible box?
Oh, I made an elemental
that was a bad
cry,
stutter.
and it was great.
Oh yeah, so it made a fire elemental cry itself to death. It was great.
The vicious mockery was so strong.
It's
My
just mockery.
tiefling
do be
was
doing that to
she
folks.
man, she was a bitch though.
Yeah.
Who needs Dosh? I got 700.
Well, are you gonna be hopping in Killing Floor 2 tomorrow, Swiss? Because if that's the case, then that's where you gotta let all the British mannerisms out. Cause,
Oh yeah,
Exactly.
confused screaming.
Killing
That's
Floor
what I
2.
named my kunais.
Killing
Oh,
Floor
nice.
2 does not care about anything.
Yeah.
One of the maps you gotta play though is jeez, I'm drawing a blank on it. You know that one map that changes the longer it goes on? That constantly teleports you to different areas.
Oh, like the official one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't do official maps anymore.
Well, we barely do
Fair
because
enough.
there's so many. But yeah, no, I know the one you're talking about. That's a good one.
Yeah, that there is one of my favorite maps.
Yeah.
Definitely better than Underpass or whatever that map is that everyone goes on for endless because it's got the perfect loop.
Yeah.
Everyone finished shopping?
Oh, what boss do we think it's gonna be?
Why now?
Ooh, right. We didn't do a thingamaboop.
Always use the
No, we did not.
I don't know if I've ever done a prediction programmatically on Twitch before. I should try that. I'll try it when we get to the next trader wave. We're only on wave 2. There's plenty of time to do a prediction.
Au revoir, mon
Yeah,
ami.
absolutely.
Only 138 Zeds, so.
Queen.
I did
I
did find it
myself
funny
too.
that
My guess is Impaler.
These things are 10 a penny, aren't they?
I'm gonna also go with Queen. I feel like we haven't had a Queen in a long enough time that the game's gonna pity us, even though I know that's not how it works.
5% down.
I need that high queen energy.
And at the end of the day, it's a 33% chance either way.
Yeah.
Watch it end up being Chimera again.
Could be
Chimera
small.
again too. As far as I'm concerned, each of the 3 bosses have a equal chance of appearing.
Yeah.
Unless it's someone's story
Oh
mission.
yeah, unless it's a story mission. Then it does seem to be the
True,
same
Which
way.
I
every time.
part.
don't believe it's a story mission for everyone
Yeah.
on this map.
No.
Unless
I don't
someone
think
has
Sewers is
objectives.
connected.
Yeah, I don't think I saw a story mission with sewers either.
Not yet, anyway.
Yeah.
Man, this is a lot of...
Dun, 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 dun,
There's just a pile of Gorefest corpses in this room. I'm just gonna keep adding to it now.
I got an ammo bag over here if anyone needs it.
Nice.
I'm always rather nice.
Oh right, this is the gun that deals acid
Not such a
damage.
tough
I forgot
cookie
about
now,
that.
are ya?
Machine.
I do feel like it was probably harder, like more work to balance, but I do still think it would have been nice if they had 4 difficulties like they did before, so it was a little more gradual.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, but I do also like the brutal start that it gives you in Hell on Earth.
I do have to
Hell,
admit,
it's
yeah, when I
insane.
booted up and played it normal for the first time, I was racing. So, you
Yeah.
know, they really redesigned everything and made it really a lot tougher.
Take a
Yeah.
break.
I didn't even cut you, sir. How are you dead?
Oh, bloats and acid damage is up, and ballistics damage is up. Oh my god, that's great.
Nice.
My gun is ballistic acid.
You're gonna have fun this wave.
Oh yeah, no, that's totally fair. You just gotta show up, yell some British insults at the Zeds, and then you're good.
Vicious Mockery Plus. Activate this turret.
The
I
Doshin
can't
gun
imagine
is
how
here.
this place smells.
It's got money on the side. Great.
I still am not sure how I feel about the
That is nice.
Doshin gun in Killing Floor 2. Like, it's there, but I never really use it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it is
we
there.
kind of just used it for sillies. I don't know if anyone used it.
So, if you
like-
invest heavy enough in it, like to max out its tier, the bludgeoning damage it does isn't resisted by any enemy in the game, So it does the same
Oh, that's
damage
funny.
to every enemy,
Huh.
which is really good.
It's like, honestly, I thought it was a joke weapon.
Yeah, it
I didn't know
like it's
it
not
was
it's not
Yeah, it kind of
effective
is.
against anything, but nothing's resistant to it, so it actually like scales really well.
Be
It's more
funny they just
consistency than
throw
anything,
that
I
in here
suppose.
Mhm.
for fun again.
Although your teammates get a lot of extra spending money because all your money gets shot.
Everyone got what they needed.
I mean, unless they're trying to keep it stocked up on ammo.
Wait, has anyone had a multi-tool at all? I just realized.
Yeah. I run a multi-tool.
Okay. There's a fan over here too that we can activate if we want.
I believe I already activated that one.
Oh. It still says multi-tool required.
Oh. I'll activate that next wave then, because I've been opening up armor caches and whatnot.
No, that makes sense. Yeah, the armor caches were open. Alright, this is blow wave.
The most I can do is
Everything's
just
loaded.
cut off their heads, otherwise I suffer.
Oh, I didn't do the
Put her down.
prediction thing.
Keep this up.
We're too
keep
into the
forgetting.
game.
We'll just do that
also-
next game.
Also,
So-
tabbing out's a bit of a pain. I forgot about
Yeah,
that.
like I know you struggle to tab out.
Gaming in 2025, alt tabbing is forbidden.
Yeah.
I believe you can set one up on mobile if you at all use that for Twitch.
Yes, but my phone is also my camera.
Kind of needs to play the game though.
No,
Oh, fair
but
enough.
That could have worked with my hand, but yeah, no, the phone's also the camera, so that won't.
It's
Artistic.
fine. Like unless a
I don't know,
mod
the-
wants to take care of it, there are mods. That's what mods are for.
Yeah, that's
Question
true.
mark?
Question mark? I don't know if we've had our mods ever run a prediction either. Now that I think about
Yeah.
it. Like we've done polls, but we haven't really done many
I
predictions.
don't know if mods can actually do predictions.
Mods can do polls and all that.
Oh, interesting.
Yes, I've had to do it for my multiple times.
Yeah, but have you done a
I've
prediction for my
I've never been a mod for people
I don't know
on
if I've ever
Twitch,
tried a
so-
prediction general, but I'm assuming so.
Like
Healy Dome.
The Kingdom.
Or healing dome, yes. As it's more colloquially known.
Oh man.
Inhale all that morphine into your system.
Yes.
All that
Enjoy
morphine.
the elephant morphine. It may be your last.
Even if you survive, it probably will be your last.
Okay. Think I've been going
I'm sorry to say, but you've OD'd. What? Your time of death 5 minutes ago. What?
Feeling a bit, tapping down the edges.
You know, they experience time dilation as they get injected with that much morphine.
Numbers up.
Numbers up.
Well,
Wow.
Meow. 30
jeez, I forget how fast I move during Z time. Which is kind of surprising.
Whee! Man, the mire looks really messed up in here. I wonder if that's going to be a precursor to another... Oh, you know what? Maybe this is something to do with the Crawler Queen, because that kind of looks like spider eggs almost in that nest over there.
Okay, so it is the next wave, so if you do want to set out that prediction.
You probably can do it now, but can you tab out?
Yeah,
Yeah,
if you
not
want to
really.
risk it.
Anyone got
Efficient.
I'm gonna predict-
2,000 docs they can
Like
lend me?
I can try, but I've never done. I haven't done a prediction.
Yeah, neither,
No
neither of
idea
us
what
have
you're
tried it
supposed
before.
to.
I'll just wait till
I
next
was
week
gonna
to do
try
it.
slash prediction and see if that works, or slash. I know slash poll brings up poll.
Okay. Yeah, mods
Ooh.
can do it because I'm able to do it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I guess just the 3 bosses
Yeah.
as the prediction options.
Might as well throw my hat in the
So-
ring as well.
Crawler, Chimera, and Impaler.
Mm-hmm.
I'll
didn't
guard
get
you
the
in the
shop
meantime.
much though. Oh well.
We got you. It's only on normal.
Yeah. I'm just gonna yell for mods if anyone can do this later, cause like it's really hard to like get out of the game.
Well, we'd probably
Okay,
do it
yeah,
before we
that's fair.
start the
Yeah. Yeah. Also, it's fine. Like, I know it's a Friday night. I'm just joking. But also, like, it'd be helpful.
What is
Yeah,
the,
but
I don't know, it's funny, so I'm gonna bank everything on Impaler.
Do predictions usually go that fast? That's pretty crazy.
I don't know. I've never done it before. So... I don't know.
I believe the default timer for predictions is like 10 seconds.
I just went quickly because I saw that time was running out.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
fair.
not to worry. We can definitely set up something more realistic. Maybe another time.
It'd be better, like, when we're not in a game.
Yeah.
Do something like
Definitely.
that. That didn't give any time.
Or if I had thought about it before stream, I could have opened a different computer for it or something.
Yeah, that's fair. That would help a bit more.
Hello, sir. Might I request some morphine?
Morphine's
Why not?
for the week! Because you'll be morphing!
Enjoy your morphine.
I think it was set
Thank
to
you.
the default time. I haven't seen it in a while, so that was my...
Yeah, no, I've never had to set those up. I only know how to set up polls, and
We should
also
definitely...
kind of panicked as I saw that the wave was about to start.
We should definitely do
Ooh,
it more
no.
often, though, because, like, predictions are very good interaction for Twitch chat.
Mm-hmm. I
Not
like
to
to do
mention, whenever
polls
running
too.
Deep Rock crowd control with points, that could also be rather useful.
The, But, like, the main reason people like predictions over the polls is because they can actually bet their points on it and get winnings and stuff. It's like gambling.
Yeah, it's a huge
Exactly.
return on investment
Yeah, no,
sometimes.
for sure. I want you all to use your points.
Just compared to polls, because polls don't actually award
It's
anything.
just, yeah, again, it's just when we're in the middle of a game, it can't really, like, focus my attention on both.
Alright, I believe I've activated everything on the map, so I'm gonna be switching over to, I don't know what I'm gonna switch over to. It'll be something, though. I don't know, probably pheromone traps. Because I have actually never used those.
Fire.
Behind you.
Oh, do you have any more charges on the multi-tool, or is it out?
Pinged it.
Mine is currently out.
Okay.
I'll buy a thing for my multi-tool next wave and activate that turret.
Yeah. I think that's the only thing I've seen so far that's not.
Ay, semejante barullo.
Scrake apparently.
Yeah, what the
Over
heck?
here.
Where's the... Oh god, there's no... Okay.
He dead.
Guess it's just this door.
Jeez. I didn't even get to get close enough to whack it.
A lonely gore fest, 100 meters
That's a bit
away.
suspect,
Yeah,
isn't
what's
it?
it doing over there?
Just vibing.
I don't know, apparently
Living
teleporting.
in the moment.
Yeah,
I
what
think he's
the
trying
heck?
to get closer to us.
Just having issue pathfinding?
I guess so.
Hmm. Huh.
Maybe it's trying to like find the
Oh.
right spawn to pop in.
Come on, up here.
Mm.
I think it's trying to buy itself time.
Oh,
It knows it
What are
can't
you
win.
doing over there, buddy?
This is how they
How
beat
you
us, by soft
doing?
locking us into the game.
Oh, he's stuck in
anyone
there.
got a grenade for that?
I got my bio grenade.
That might work.
I don't know if my couch also hit him, but
Oh, it looks like he's dissolving. The medic
Oh,
grenade seems to
oh.
be working.
Oh,
Yeah, it does.
Yep.
hey!
hey!
I'm glad that worked.
Yeah.
Noted.
Time to restock.
Yeah, if it works, it works.
I need something to dump my channel points at. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Because we don't have a lot of like channel points.
Oh, I
dumped,
never
so-
opened up that door. You know,
I mean, I would love to come up with fun ways to use it.
Mhm.
Yeah, definitely doing predictions for bosses and killing 4-3 for community nights at least. I
Hey.
think that would be great for that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, loot bug redeem
Also,
for
like,
deep
orcs must die and stuff
That's
as well would be good.
Loot bug redeems.
Just- oh,
I'm
yeah,
down.
Orcs Must Die stuff would be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I believe Jang is doing Orcs Must Die as of late.
Yeah,
Oh,
we've
yeah?
been playing quite a bit of that too.
Man, it
But
is so
Killer
weird
Floor
not
3
calling
came
them
out, so we're
Sprig
behind on an
anymore.
update.
Yeah, that's fair.
Who needs Dosh?
Who needs Dosh?
I don't, but I got 100 extra I can give to somebody.
Oh. Thank you.
Who needs money?
I can give some back.
I don't know.
Tell me you
I
love
don't need
money.
it, so here you go. So give it to
Oh.
whoever needs it.
Who
Take my
needs
dodge.
Dosh? Come on.
I don't know if
Who
anyone,
needs
Shut up
it?
and take my money.
I don't know if anyone
I'll
does
ransom the
anymore.
man with $1
All right.
million.
Yeah, we played so much Orcs Must Die since the moment it came out.
Yeah. Oh, Death Trap's
It's one of our
amazing.
favorite games we've been playing a ton of.
I wish I could play it more, but they
the
took it
new
off of Game
updates.
Pass.
Oh, interesting.
That's sad.
Yeah. Why they gotta take all the good games off Game Pass?
Here for a good time, not a long time.
Oh,
There's been, like, again, a lot of banger releases this year.
There's too many. It's been a bit of a problem.
I'm
Oh,
still
yeah.
waiting for I'm still waiting for Lethal Company to
Not to
come
mention,
to
like,
console.
multiple 1.0 releases. I also still have to catch up on Core Keeper. That might be my next thing after Aviotic Factor. And I love that they did a crossover.
that's actually-
I was so happy. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys know those decontamination vents around the map?
Oh, okay, yeah.
Keep the heat on.
They actually extinguish you if you're set on fire from a husk.
Oh, interesting.
Gotta swap out
That's a
the
neat
sensor
little
quick.
detail.
Yeah. Love attention to details like that.
Throw it in the game, mates.
Yeah, no, haven't played the newest update for Orcs Must Die, though.
No.
Me
Well,
either.
like I said, it came out literally, I think, after this release.
Yeah.
Oh,
Right after Killing Floor 3, so
Yep,
I
sure.
need to go check up on it, but I haven't played because reasons.
you've been busy with other games, so
Yeah.
not to mention the art fight.
Wait, no.
Oh, yeah.
Something else to shoot.
But really good game. We'll have to stream some again. Still thinking about what we'll do next Friday.
Yeah. Mix it up a little
Yeah,
bit.
that's fair.
Although maybe Deep Rock again, too, because the summer
Probably
event's going
Deep
on.
Rock, because I'm just hoping everything is fixed.
Oh, with the modding stuff, yeah, that was
Yeah, that was
weird.
frustrating. Really hoping
You
they got
guys
that under
see
control.
summer hat for this year?
Yeah, it's like a shark swim cap. Goggles.
Yes, I gotta do the seasonal. Might do
next-
some of that over the weekend.
Next time I hop on Deep Rock, I'm definitely gonna have to take a screenshot of my driller. I made him into the Green Goblin.
Oh, nice.
Right on. I love that.
Oh, this is gonna hurt.
Oh man, that frozen husk, like you shot off its head, it was already like.
No, I can't even reach.
What are they doing down there? Oh, doing a murder,
Pains.
apparently.
I was shoved into a corner by a flesh pound and a scrake.
Oh,
Yeah, I was too far away to get you back up.
this way.
I got killed by a flesh
It's
pound.
still not this way? Where the hell?
There we go.
Yeah, I got a little turned around too. I couldn't find
There,
you.
I found them. I found them.
Let me go and pick up my sword.
That's on cooldown.
It's okay, guys. I'm just doing the metagame strat.
Oh yeah, right.
Oh, true, true. Getting the full heal.
Yeah.
Ooh, this is the boss wave apparently.
All right.
So,
Yeah.
All right. Who needs money? I can give like 1,000.
I'll just
problem.
drop bear traps, I guess. I can also give 1,000 to whoever needs it.
Anybody in needs?
This might be our last wave too, because I didn't realize we're already hitting 10:30.
Yep, there you go, Tweak. Spend it on whatever you need.
I'm all
Or
set,
our
so thank
not
you.
our last wave, sorry, our last.
Do we
Last
want to
game,
hold out in
I
this wave, in this room, because it's got a good loop around it, as well as...
The acid, yeah.
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 Oh, I also dropped some ammo in here too, so that works out.
Yeah. Then I'll go ahead and throw down my bear traps real quick.
Syringes here.
Nice, nice.
Trampa de choque.
Oh shoot. I did not realize.
You.
Probably fine.
Hey, what's the Chimera? And the Chimera's got a thing for us tonight.
Apparently. Well, there goes 1,000 points, I guess.
Just a small dent.
It'll be whatever.
Now let's see if it one-shots you through your armor, like in hard difficulty. Look at that, almost nothing. Wow.
Almost nothing.
That's a
scratch.
huge difference.
Yeah.
I know, it's just a wild discrepancy between the two difficulties.
He barely does damage in this one.
Yeah, like that's... I feel like there should be a closer bar there.
I agree.
Step back.
Hi, sir. Would you like to talk about our Lord and Savior, the bullet? Oh, okay, hold on. I need to reload.
Oh.
Okay, the bullet?
Oh, whenever he does that little suck attack, he heals.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I never noticed that before. Or it seems like damage dealt to him gets healed back.
Huh.
It's over, Chimera. I have the high ground.
And I have electrified swords.
Yeah.
Nice job,
The
everybody.
Chimera had something for us tonight.
Yeah. I don't know why it was so angy. So you get the
It
same
had-
proficiency for beating normal that you do for beating hard. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Apparently.
The combat experience is slightly different, but it's not like it's not
Level
enough of a
19,
difference.
yippee.
It's weird too.
Yeah, level 10 ninja.
An honest day's work.
Huh.
I wonder what it's like for Hell on Earth.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Jeez. I don't even want to imagine right now, or if I did, I would just watch
That's fair.
Davey's streams.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
That was. He looked like he was going through some tough stuff. And then Fra, I think it was like, oh, it's not that tough actually. You just don't need to kite around like a dummy. Okay.
Even with a maxed out weapon and everything, it just sounds so difficult.
Yeah.
The
it is.
Hell
Well,
on...
Golfa's playing Helldivers too.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we can always raid over there.
I think she just returns as well, just to streaming from hiatus.
Yeah, they were
That's
on
awesome.
a break for a little
So,
bit. So that's
yeah,
good.
it was because of her new job.
Yeah.
So
I
I
see.
wanna we made like a nice welcoming back raid.
So unfortunately, I have to close the game before I.
Yeah, understandable.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
It was a lot of
Excellent,
fun.
Yeah, I definitely need to
Enjoyed
take some
it.
time and just craft some more mods and see what.
Yeah, and
that
I just
does for me.
wanna. I need to just level more classes, so I have more options for more difficulties.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah, given a lot of stuff. Man, that sucks how much we got Chimera though, because like on hard, when you were playing Firebug, the Chimera's resistant to fire, so it's like you only had your explosive. Was the
Oh
only...
Fighting an
yeah,
uphill battle there.
that's true. But yeah, I go with the Vulcan a lot at least.
Mhm.
Vulcan's like an S tier weapon, so
Fucking so
Yeah.
good. It's so good.
So we're gonna send you over to. Oh wait, how do I check? Hold on, how do I check the prediction thing as well?
I believe you literally just hit which one became true or something. I don't really
Pardon me.
remember.
Stream manager. Let's see. Yeah, I'll definitely have to open this on another. Tues prediction outcome. It was the Chimera. No one
no
voted
one
for
voted for it.
Chimera.
Jeez.
Completely
So everyone gets their points back.
Everyone must have just thought that.
No, it's Chimera.
We had it too much. So.
Yeah. Excellent. Okay,
Oh, well.
so that's pretty handy. It's on this little it's on the stream manager screen. So I'll just open that on another computer when we want to do stuff with it.
Sweet.
But let's send you over to Volgotha.
Mm-hmm.
I think they just exploded.
Oh, great.
Yeah. I saw like a hell pod land and then they exploded.
This
So
is perfect.
that seems very. Going from killing Flora to Helldivers is pretty reasonable in terms of.
I think so.
Yeah,
I'd say so. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want to come out tomorrow, we are doing Killing Floor 2 on the Discord server. That's the new link right there. And go enjoy some Helldivers. Have a good rest of your Friday, and just remember the floors are out to get you, so you have to kill them first.
Every day.
Oh,
yeah.
Quick, off stream, you mind if I ask you a question?
Yeah, that's fine. But have a good evening, everybody.
Good night.
Bye.
Happy Friday.
До свидания.
Happy weekend.